How's it going, everybody? Welcome once again to our weekly NASCAR podcast. I think this is only the second time that it's been on my channel now, but second is the best. So hopefully this goes really, really well. We got a great jam-packed show for you guys. We have a lot to talk about from this last weekend / Monday's race at Bristol. We had Ford make some interesting announcements this week. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about, as well as you might see in the description or in the title. We do have a guest coming later in the episode. You don't see him now, but RealRadman will be on the show a little bit later. I think we think somewhere around middle of the show. He'll probably be in it for the second half. He'll tune in, and we'll get to talk with him. You guys will get to ask all of us questions, and we're going to go from there. So hopefully this goes really well. Should be a really fun time. I'm Eric, as most of you hopefully know. Let's turn it over to our panel of co-hosts. Go on, guys.
Hey guys. Oh, who wants to go first here?
Oh, you're talking now, so you go.
All right. Well, I'm talking now. I'm Danny from Danny V Talks here. As you can tell, we're very organized tonight. Right now, I feel like total crap right now. I have been moving furniture around a hotel for the past 2 days. Plus, back last Friday, I was doing it too. I did get to go to Bristol Motor Speedway this weekend. I was there. We got there Saturday evening. Got to go explore some of the tents outside. Got to see all that stuff. Bought some good new fun stuff. And then Sunday we went there and we tried to watch the race, but that obviously didn't do nothing. And then Monday we both couldn't make it. Actually, Sunday evening I took my fiance back home to where she needed to be for school. Halfway back home, my truck breaks down in the middle of the night. I have to get towed in. So Blaney wasn't the only one leaving Bristol on a wrecker. I was too. But overall, though, I think that was the best Bristol race that I had seen there in a long time. And I'm very, very interested to maybe try and go back to the night race this year too. Because I'm owed a race. Mother Nature. What are you doing to me? Stop raining. It's every single time. Past few times I've been able to come back. This time I couldn't. So unfortunate events. But now here we are. We're ready to talk about NASCAR this week. Now, go ahead and introduce yourself there, Iceberg.
Well, I think you just did. What's up, everybody? It's been a big week, Alex Jones cried. Their Jurassic World trailer came out. I shaved. And Bristol. So I'm terrible on introductions, so let's just get into it.
I like it. What are we starting with? Are we starting with I don't know, what do we start with? I had the hardest time.
Usually it's a recap. Recap. And I got it written down. Usually it's the spark notes of the race, but this week it's just the whole race. So what I have written down first, rain. It was raining. Lap 4, there was a crash. I think it was 8 cars. Michael McDowell, Chase Elliott, Truex, and a lot more. Lap 60, Jones spins Stenhouse, and Buescher spins behind him. Lap 117, Blaney gets wrecked while being in the lead. And my brother, the only person he cares about in the race, is wrecked. Lap to 125, that's when Brad Keselowski won the first stage. Rain delay, that was after that. Brad Keselowski also won stage 2, which there was an awesome battle between him, Larson, and Busch. So that was really fun to watch.
And that was on Monday. The end of stage 2 was Monday, right?
Yeah. Flip page next day. Lap 325, Kyle Larson spun as the leader off the Mupper Ryan Newman, and I only caught just the tail end of that spin the first time, so I'm like, friggin' Newman, thinking that Newman took him out the second time. No, it was Larson's fault. Lap 375, Bubba Wallace, my favorite guy, leads his first laps, taking the lead from Brad Keselowski. He led 6 laps, and the way that it was PRN was putting it, it sounded like the rain was right there, so I'm like, I was doing a rain dance in my car while I was listening to it.
It did start raining 10 minutes later or 5 minutes later. It started raining a little bit, and they delayed him a little.
I know. I was like, damn, he missed the win and all this. And I'm like, they're going to give it to Kyle Busch. And, well, that happened later. No, lap 471, Brad Keselowski had a flat tire, which saved Kyle Busch from having to pit probably the next lap. With 6 to go, Kyle Busch used the bump and run to get past Kyle Larson, and even though Larson had a hard charge back, it wasn't enough because Kyle Busch won his 7th Bristol race. Wow.
7 time.
I also have 2 other things. 1, best race of the year so far, without a doubt.
Yep.
And 2, I have the little chase grid here. And there's a few surprising names that are still out of it. Jimmie Johnson is a point out in 17th. Stenhouse is 8 out. Byron 16 out. Allmendinger 20 out. Going down the list, 22nd, McMurray is 30 points out. 23rd, Chase Elliott's 34 points out. Suarez is 36 points out in 24th. Trevor Bayne is 60 out in 28th. Kane is in 29th. He's 69 points out. And 30th is Ty Dillon, 75 points out. Some people that are pretty interesting to see up in there. Eric Almirola, 12th, up by 42. Eric Jones is 13th, up by 40. Alex Bowman up by 21 in 14th. Ryan Newman up by 12 in 15th. And the last person in the chase grid right now is Paul Menard, +1. And we got to remember that all of this can change with one person winning outside.
Yep. I was gonna say I'm impressed with. I kind of expect Paul Menard honestly to move up even by the end of this thing. I think Paul Menard he didn't make the playoffs last year, and I know he made the playoffs like 2 or 3 years ago, but he's not typically a contender. He's looked like a top 10, top 15 car. He's kind of reminded me of McMurray the last couple of years. I don't know. We're not making super big predictions or anything right now, but I'm just saying I think Menard's one that it's kind of a surprise that he's in there, but I actually think he'll probably finish a little higher up.
I think Menard this year is, quite frankly, in the best ride he's ever had, really. And he has so much potential to have a breakout season this year because basically he's the 4th Penske car. It might not say Penske, but he's basically the 4th Penske car this year. At one point during the Bristol race, I looked at my fiance and I was like, wow, look at that. All 4 Penske cars are up in the top 4 right now. I mean, there's so much potential there, really, for all of those Penske cars to get a win this season, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that 21 car won last year with Blaney, and Blaney was only in like his 2nd or 3rd year last year. So
yeah, see, I'm really curious, how can the 21 do when they go back to Pocono later this year? Because Menard obviously is fairly decent if you get him in the right vehicle at a track like Indianapolis or like Pocono. And at the Indianapolis Xfinity Series race last year, we saw him come really close to winning that race, just coming up short to William Byron in that one. So I'm curious, in a car that won it last year, how could he do it at a track like that?
I want to see how he can do it at Kansas because he's been really good through his career at Kansas. He's got a lot of top 5s. If anyone remembers that race in 2012, right after the repave, it was that point, like after they repaved the track, that he started performing well there. And I want to see, he did that in RCR equipment, which for the last few years has definitely been tailing off. I want to see how he can do it in a top tier ride, like basically the 4th Penske car he is. I honestly, I think I might pick him to win Kansas. That spoiler alert, a month away. I think I'll pick Paul Menard for Kansas. Now watch, he does bad.
That's a good dark horse pick. I think we have to talk about, looking at the points, we got to talk about how Alex Bowman is carrying the torch for Hendrick Motorsports right now. And that's not saying a lot because he is 14th. He is 14th in points. Hold on for a second. He's 14th, not exactly dominating any races, but he had a pretty good run at Bristol. Where did he got it? He finished top. Did he finish 5th?
He did finish 5th. Obviously, I know that. That's my guy.
Yeah.
So far, it seems like they've got a pretty good short track program for the 88. They got 6th at Martinsville, 5th at Bristol. So curious how he's going to do over at Richmond.
Yeah, he could be a real dark horse pick at Richmond.
Now, when I wrote down, because I like to write down, the points or whatever, just to keep track of it. I circled 12th through 16th and put danger zone, and there's a reason why here. Say we go to a road course and Allmendinger wins, and a plate track and Stenhouse wins, and Chase Elliott can win. But if he keeps, stuff keeps happening. So that's 3 guys right there. Alex Bowman would then be 19 points out of the chase. And Jimmie Johnson would be 22 out. Or not 22 out. He would actually be 39 out.
Yeah.
So I think Johnson by one way or another is going to win a race because he always manages to. But, and
Johnson looked like he could possibly win Bristol this weekend too.
Yeah, it was the first time all year that he actually looked like Jimmie Johnson and not like 2017 Dale Jr. or 2016 Tony Stewart.
Yeah. I think Jimmy's been watching us, and he's like, okay, I got to shut these guys up.
I think he and Chad have been feeling the pressure. I've seen more cryptic, kind of odd, inspirational, motivational tweets and whatnot from Jimmie Johnson in the last 3 months than I've ever seen before from him. So he's clearly, I think it's interesting. I think I talked about this a few weeks ago when he posted some weird like poem about never giving up and fighting back. And I remember thinking to myself, like, at least he's acknowledging that he's not running well, but it felt weird. It felt like Jimmie was assuming that everyone else should be panicking, because I think at the time nobody was really that worried about the fact that Jimmie and Chad were off to a slow start. This is like 5 weeks ago I'm talking about. And he made this post and stuff, and I was kind of looked at it and I'm like, does this mean he thinks we should be panicking? Because obviously since then they haven't run very well until Bristol. But I don't know. You say that Jimmie will win a race this year. I mean, I think if I had to weigh it, I honestly think there's only about a 30 to 40% chance he wins a race this season. I don't know if I can really say I'm not that confident in him, but he is a 7-time champion. I'll give him some benefit of the doubt.
Taz Taylor asked, where would Chase Elliott be if he didn't get penalized the 45 points? 16th. I mean, he'd be right at that bubble line too. So it's not like he's been setting the world on fire. Granted, he's been the best looking Hendrick car out there, and a lot of it has to do with crashes. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's really where you finish and where you run at 2 points of the race before that. So, and he hasn't been, finishing well.
I'm just going to go ahead and say this. I don't expect Chase to really do much at Richmond, but in 2 weeks when we go to Talladega, I think he's just going to have to stay out of trouble and actually finish a race at a super speedway. And that might be the one that he finally gets it.
As long as these guys, once they start making dumb driver mistakes, you know that they're desperate and panic is starting to set in. I don't see them making as many dumb driver mistakes yet. It's more just a crew thing or a bad call or bad luck. But I'd put money on if these guys don't win and they're still outside the chase come Daytona, Chicagoland, there's going to be a lot more driver mistakes that are unusual for these two. So I think that's something to watch out for too.
Here's something I want to mention real fast. Tyler Johnson brought this up, and we were talking about the Penske cars and Paul Menard. Someone said that Blaney's driving Paul Menard's rookie car like paints him as a throwback. I haven't seen that yet.
I haven't seen that either. But
isn't that just the throwback 21 car anyway?
I don't know what that would be.
No. I think he's meaning probably like Paul Menard's like number 33 or whatever it was, because like I know in like NASCAR 2005 Chase for the Cup, Paul Menard's in there in like both the Busch and Cup series and like a number 33 car, and it's like so random. So maybe that's the one he's talking about, but I haven't yet seen that, so I'm gonna have to look that up.
I saw Josh B85 was talking about asking earlier whether or not we thought it was okay. He was kind of like, why are people not talking about the Kyle Busch's move on Larson at the end, the bump and run? Most people look like in the chat were saying it's Bristol and that's what you're thinking, but we saw a lot of bump and run throughout the race. But what do you guys think of Kyle Busch catching Kyle Larson? It felt like a pretty fair battle. I don't know. I thought it was okay.
If it were any other driver, I would have loved it.
Yeah. Well, to be fair,
driver instead of Denny Hamlin.
To be fair, I was rooting for Kyle Larson all the way. I was disappointed because it was a great race, but the one thing that would have really put it over the top is if one of those kind of, Larson's not a under the radar driver by any means, but he hasn't won in a while. So the only thing that would have made it better is if kind of a guy we haven't talked about as much got the win. So that was the only reason I was when Kyle won.
I got deja vu watching Kyle Larson finish second to Kyle Busch at Bristol again.
Mm-hmm. It's happened
for the
more than once.
Time.
Yep.
Yeah, but in a way, I'm never really too pleased to go to Bristol and say Kyle Busch win all the time. In a way, I'm almost kind of not too disappointed that I had to leave the race and couldn't come back, because obviously that's something I've seen a million times over there. But hey, on the other hand, in my preseason predictions videos that I made, that's the first one I got right. So I will say that.
So I see in the chat people keep asking about Bubba Wallace. One of them asks, how would you be if Bubba would have won? I would have been ecstatic because he's my new favorite guy. But
that would have been outstanding.
I'll say. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, and then I'll say what I'll say.
I was really blown away when he just suddenly got up there in the lead, and I was like, "Wow, he's doing good." But then, I was really confused with how a few laps later he was getting lapped, and I was like, "What happened right there?"
What I think is that obviously there's weather on the way, so they had that in mind. But I think he sort of Brad Keselowski and Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson kind of showed that they're the veterans. They've been experienced for a while. Is that at least that first run, Bubba went up there and he just burned his tires out. I mean,
well, I mean, it wasn't really just that. I mean, he had been like slowly progressing from like 15th for like the past like little while before that.
Yeah. Well, and I think he used his stuff up is what I'm saying. And
yeah.
I remember just looking at lap times. Like he slowly earlier in the race, he slowly progressed his way through up until the time he got to like 5th or 6th. But then when I was looking at his lap times compared to like Keselowski and Kyle Busch, he wasn't as fast. And then all of a sudden, after a restart, after some run, that's when bam, he was flying. And I think it had to do with that rain that hit a few minutes after he led for a little bit, and it obviously wasn't enough rain to call the race, but it could have been. So I think knowing the rain, I agree. I think he was going 100%, whereas most everyone else was going 70%. That being said, it was really impressive to see a rookie, Bubba Wallace, go up there and just blow by Keselowski, a champion, Kyle Busch, a champion. I don't know, he probably passed Larson, some other guys in there as well, Johnson. Like, that was impressive, regardless of how he was doing it.
I feel like that more than Daytona, more than finishing second at Daytona, this race at Bristol is what's going to put him set him on the map as this guy. He might not be right now, kind of like how Larson wasn't when he first got in, or like Logano wasn't when he first got in. But I do think that long-term, he's going to be a superstar in the sport. And that's nothing but good for the sport.
And I definitely could see a win at Bristol in his future. That track means probably more to him than people would really think, because if you don't know about Bubba Wallace, he is even though he's born in Alabama, he's got a lot of ties to Tennessee and this area in general. He's a huge Tennessee Volunteers fan. He was pretty adamant about loving the Battle at Bristol football game that we had over here. His heart belongs to Tennessee in a way, and ultimately, I think he'd love to get a win at Bristol someday.
Well, and I think he's a good little short track racer. I mean, I think this weekend at Richmond, he might even be up there. I remember the first time I saw him in the Xfinity series, he was like up in the top 10 racing like 3 wide with guys like Joey Logano and Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch. And
not to mention when they did the short track nationals at Bristol Motor Speedway last year, he won in the late model division.
That's where his first truck race was won at too. I mean, he's good.
Bubba won, like, doesn't he have 2 wins at Martinsville in the trucks?
Yeah.
Something like that. So he's definitely a short track driver.
And he won at Michigan.
And a win at Eldora. That's a short track technically. So
yeah, I mean, it's kind of where it's less about the aerodynamics and about the car and more about the driver is where he seems to be showing up a bit more. And I think that's just going to show more to why if you can get him it's petty, so it's not very good. You can get him into even a halfway decent ride. I'd love to see what he can do long term.
I think he thrives on the tracks that are real more like forceful racetracks, like Daytona, where it's all about leaning on people and pushing. Bristol, Martinsville. I feel like the finesse tracks where you got to be more precise, lap after lap. The bigger tracks, I think he, like most young drivers, I don't think he's quite figured it out yet, or he's at least not figured out how to manage a car throughout an entire run. But I think he'll get there. I think he's a real contender one day I think he's a real playoff contender at least one day. I don't know if I'd say championship contender yet. He'd have to get in a better ride before I say that, but he looks, he's got promise.
Well, I also see in the chat a lot talking about the pit guns, and I jokingly in a live stream of the race on Sunday called it pit gun communism because everyone gets the same crappy gun.
That's the trend. Yeah. That's good. I've used a similar analogy. It's just, they took away they basically took away the advantage that the successful teams had in investing and in getting new guns, better guns. And I think it's interesting that Gibbs has seems to be the most anti the pit guns. I know it's hurt Stewart-Haas a little bit too with Limerick, but yeah, I don't blame him. It's just, it is funny. We haven't heard, because I'm sure these guns are breaking for some of these smaller teams as well that we don't hear about as much. But it's, it definitely seems like this Gibbs, the Stewart-Haas. Haven't heard as much from Hendrick, but maybe that's because they haven't been up front as much. That's kind of seems to be interesting that they're the most vocal.
NASCAR keeps taking away every little advantage everyone gets, and they got to realize that once you make everybody the same, nobody can get past anyone else. It's like for the longest time with the COT and the Gen 6, it was about, you can get off pit road first, you can gain 4 or 5 positions, right? And that's after they took away how teams could get this huge advantage with the cars and stuff. And they just keep chipping away at it, and it's not going to make the same. Look at F1. Like, everything's meant to be the same in F1, and they get, like, what, 30 passes for the lead a year? Or 30 passes on track a year? It's like, where you start's where you finish there. And I don't want NASCAR to be like that.
I'll say this, though. For every little thing that NASCAR probably made not so good, Bristol Motor Speedway, like in general, for whatever reason, what they did this go around, they did everything right to get some of the best racing that I've seen there in a long time in both, not only the Cup Series race, but in all the races in general. Like the Xfinity Series race, it was really good. Cup Series race was really good. Like for the first time ever, we really got to see that sticky track compound thing that they've got. Like they've used it for the past few years, but usually rain has washed it off and they haven't reapplied it. They actually reapplied it like every time this time. And it produced probably the best racing I've seen there in a long time. And that stuff that they use, I don't know if y'all caught this or not, they said they actually brought that over from the Bristol Dragway, because I think what it is something that they put right at the area where the dragsters launch off from there, so that obviously they can keep good traction as soon as they take off. And in a way that kind of does the same thing for keeping traction really good on the bottom groove there at Bristol. And I think it's produced, like Eric, I think you said in your video earlier this week, it produced Old Bristol. Old Bristol is kind of back, and I really hope that it's going to be back in the nighttime, because there was like nobody there for the spring race. I think weather had a lot to do with that, but I think seeing the racing should fill a lot more seats coming for the night race.
I would hope so. Yeah.
Yeah. This week an asteroid could have hit the track and no one would have been injured.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, the PJ1 did it did its job, but you're right. They had to reapply it, overnight, which in, the August race, they're not going to have that luxury. So it brought back Old Bristol, which we all, for the most part, like, and everyone but Kyle Larson seems to like it. So I think I only worry about for August, since they're only going to apply it once, since it's kind of an artificial structuring. I hope that it sticks as well as it did, and it keeps at least 400 of the 500 laps, kind of the way we saw. Because by the end of the race, it felt like the high line was equivalent or equal to the low line. It felt like people, like Kyle Busch was one of the first ones up there making moves, and then that's kind of how, if I'm not mistaken, that's kind of how he caught Larson pretty quick towards the end. He had that outside lane working. Larson was stuck to the bottom primarily, which is ironic, I guess. Yeah. But I don't know. I think, yes, you're right. The weather had a lot to play with why there was not very many people at Bristol. I think there'll be at least double that in August. I just hope the racing is as good as what we just saw. I think it'll still be good. It's Bristol. Even when they messed with Bristol in the last few years, it's still a good race. I think it's produced solid racing, just not as good as it could have been or as good as it had been. I think it'll be all right. I don't know. I hope it's good, because I hope I want to go. I'm hoping I can go to the race in August, so I want it to be good. But I also don't want it to sell out. I want to make sure I can get tickets.
Well, I know I keep wanting to drop off that we should do 2019 for sure, the night race. I can't this year, but I'd love if we could get a bunch of people just to meet up in 2019 for the night race.
Guys, like I told you, college student tickets are pretty good over at Bristol.
Yeah, I'll have to. Like I said, I have to check it out. But if we do that in 2019. We all have to wear the ugly shirts. That's got to be like the memo.
I'll wear my Danica Patrick t-shirt.
I'll wear my ugly Batman t-shirt that looks like seagull crap.
I don't really have any ugly shirts, but I have an by old, I mean like 2013 Matt Kenseth Dollar General jacket, like the pit jacket. That's pretty, makes me look like a gigantic.
I used to have in 2008 the AMP one.
You wouldn't want to wear that in August, especially in Tennessee.
No.
That's probably true. Although if I'm sweating like a pig, I'll look pretty ugly. So,
yeah, I wouldn't like that sight. You'd see me and Jared, even though we're like dressed like fools, we'd at least be like comfortable, and we'd see you like dying.
I'll tie it around my waist like I'm at a theme park.
It'd be like that Key and Peele skit where the wife is looking up the internet history, and you see sweat start going down everywhere. And it starts squirting. So, honey, what's this about the car adding mileage?
I've seen a lot of comments in the chat, and I think we should probably address it. We'll probably bring it up later when we have our guest. But what do you guys' first impressions of Ford announcing they're going to switch over to the Mustang next year? What do y'all think about that?
I mean,
they're doing so good with the Fusion. Why?
That's kind of what I said, and people gave me a lot of crap for it. Like, oh, are you kidding me? The Mustang looks great. They got to innovate. And I'm like, guys, they look pretty damn good right now.
Yeah, the Fusion's like, I remember in 2013 when Ford just redid the Fusion in general. I was like, damn, those, like, I don't like Ford, but those cars are freaking badass. And
yeah, they look cool.
Like,
I like them.
I think they're the coolest looking cars, even compared to the Camaros out there. Like, and that's saying something.
When I say look good,
I say more of a thing that they just want to be like even with what they're doing in all series, because Toyota has Camrys in both series, Chevy has Camaros in both series, so I'm sure Ford would rather just have Mustangs in all series.
I just think, like when I say the Mustang looks good or looks better, or not the Mustang, I'm sorry, the Fusion looks better. I'm saying like as far as a competition standpoint, like I mentioned this on Out of the Groove, I guess today. Did I talk? I don't remember when I uploaded today. I think right now 5 of the top 6 in points right now are Ford drivers driving this outdated Fusion car. So they seem like they finally figured it out better than they ever have before, and now they're going to change it. That's my only concern. I don't know.
For like the last 5 years, people who are Ford fans just bitched and bitched and bitched about how bad Ford was doing and how they were giving advantages to Chevy and Toyota. And then Ford finally gets there, and then they switch to something else, which I think they made this decision before this year. They just waited till now.
Probably.
And now they're celebrating it. It's like, no, it took them 5 years to figure it out. Like, come on, guys.
I just you look at how Chevy's doing, and they're not terrible, but they're definitely, Larson is the highest Chevy, 9th in points right now. So Chevy's not as good as they've been the last few years. They're making strides. Like Larson was one of the best cars. Bowman was one of the best cars at Bristol. Johnson. So they're making some strides, but we won't really know until close to the end of the season whether or not this was. In the long run, maybe this is a good move for Chevy, and this is going to be a good move for Ford, and that's probably true for the long run. It's a shame to like work, get to the top, and then immediately go like, no, we're starting from square one again. You got to the top, enjoy it for a couple of years, and then maybe make the change. I don't know.
I'll say this. Oh, sorry.
I was just saying 8 of the guys in the current chase grid are Fords. Of the Chevys, there's Kyle Larson up there. Austin Dillon, keep going down. Bowman and Newman.
I'll say this as far as Chevy's this weekend. I think this was Chevy's breakout race. Even though we saw a lot of good from Ford and we saw a lot of good from Toyota, we actually did see a lot of like Chevys up close to the front too.
Yeah, it was the first time pretty much all year that the Chevys, they look competent out there. They look good. As a whole.
I mean, you saw people like, Bowman finishing 5th, Johnson was up there, Larson, and then even William Byron was running good there for a while.
And Bubba.
Bubba, too.
I keep forgetting the 43 is a Chevy.
I
know, yeah. I'm trying to finally get used to it.
It's kind of like for a while when the rumor was that Childress was going to Dodge. I'm like, I can't imagine a Dodge being the 3 car. And then it's like, now I can't imagine a Chevy being the 43 car.
Yeah. Well, even Ryan Newman, who when they restarted Monday was a lap down and had a lot of damage to his car, was running in the top 5 there for a long time too. And I was like, wait, what? How'd that happen?
Connor asks in the chat, most impressive young driver so far this season. He specifies 27 and younger. I'm gonna say Blaney. Although I'm trying to think how old is Larson? I guess it doesn't matter actually. Blaney's been better than Larson this year.
I think Larson's.
I think he's 25 for some reason.
Yeah, I'll verify that. So
yeah, but I think Blaney's been the best. I think if Chase Elliott didn't get some of these wrecks, he'd be in consideration perhaps because I think he'd be a little higher in points.
So,
but
Kyle Larson is 25. He'll be 26 on July 31st, and here we go with another stream looking up driver's age.
Yep, I love it.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that I think Blaney, he's been the most impressive, but probably second most impressive. I would say Kyle Larson, but I think at this point where Kyle Larson has 5 career wins, he's kind of more established as not really being one to impress you for being up there. So I guess I would just go ahead and say Bowman is second most impressive. He's done exactly, I think, as much as he's had to do in his first year of Hendrick.
I think you throw Eric Jones in there because I think Jones is actually ahead of Bowman in points, but I'd also argue Jones is in a better car than Bowman is. So I'll give Bowman maybe the edge in that respect. But I think both of them, it'd be more interesting to talk about disappointing young drivers. I mean, I can't really say Bubba has disappointed because he has 3 top 10. Or no, he's got 2 top 10s. Sorry, plus some laps led. So that's
considering the car he's in.
Exactly. But like Byron, maybe a little disappointing, but again, he's the youngest and he's also in a relatively maybe not as good a car. So I'll cut him some slack as well. Suarez, he's had some good runs. He just has none of the finishes to match them, it feels like. So he's been a little disappointing.
Ty Dillon is, I like Ty Dillon. I like him maybe a little bit more than Austin, but it's just the fact of the matter, if he doesn't leave Germain Racing in the next few years and get in with Richard Childress, which I don't understand why he's not like the number 33 or something, but if he doesn't actually get away from Germain, I kind of see him being a shadow in his brother Austin.
Michael Carta LaPoli, or however the hell you say your name. The best Hendrick drivers this year are probably the hauler drivers.
Yeah, that made me laugh. I saw that.
Oh man. Jimmy's going to put an inspirational quote for that one.
Yeah, he's gonna have to respond to this one. Jimmie, you're welcome to come on the podcast and defend yourself.
He'll probably just put never tell me the odds. Han Solo, The Empire Strikes Back.
I don't know. He'll probably get a little more
Ty Dillon went after Kamikaze.
I heard something about that. I don't know what they did. I think
I have it on my channel. I'll be neutral. I'll mute myself and hear that go down.
Yeah, I don't know the full story there.
You said, ha ha ha, not the first to butcher my last name.
Sorry, man. People call me Janet, if that's any relief to you.
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah. That's just a
5th grade. Is Janet Lundberg here?
I was called Brick once, BRIC.
Who the hell names their kid Brick?
There was a typo on whatever sheet they were reading that had my name instead of an E, it had a B. So they kind of paused and were like, Brick. They said Brick because they did there's no way his name's Brick or her name. They probably had no idea.
I gotta ask this. What the hell is it? Everyone keeps talking about the fact that I shaved. I get it. I did, but damn.
I'm already kind of used to it. Actually.
Yeah, Brennator, Jarrett, you look better with a beard.
Savage, man.
Jarrett from Subway, not so much. I make sure that my women are legal.
Yeah, well, yours is spelled with a T. His was with a D.
He likes his women like he likes his subs, 6 and 12.
Yeah. Is that too soon? No,
no.
Well, there goes a potential Subway sponsorship.
Did we already? Oh no, it was Little Caesars we bashed. Oh shit.
All right, we're getting all the ones that are in 2000s era commercials.
We're in college. We need free food, guys. We gotta stop bashing these cheap food establishments. Come on.
Hey, we gave a shout out to Hunt Brothers.
Come on, Hunt Brothers. Come on the podcast and defend yourself.
The good gas station pizza.
Yeah, we'll start. Yeah, we're college kids. We'll start promoting White Castle.
I don't have any of those. Promote what a burger.
I don't have any of those.
Well, we gotta find a middle ground here. Do you have?
Hey,
McDonald's?
Justin.
Hey, Gatorade, this is really good. Give me more, please.
Justin McMahon says Kamikaze and Ty Dillon had a Twitter tussle because Kamikaze said he's a rich kid that didn't deserve. Stop commenting, damn it! It leaves. Don't stop now. It's gone. All right. Stop commenting for a second. It says, I gotta read like a freaking auctioneer. Kamikaze does the. Jesus Christ. You got a super chat though. Congratulations.
Hey, yeah. Follow RJ the Dirt Racer 352.
Oh,
I appreciate the support, buddy.
Hey RJ, I did see you did follow me. I'm gonna give you a follow back just because you was nice to Eric there.
Yeah, go follow RJ. He's always on my live streams. He's an avid viewer.
How about this? Somebody tag me on Twitter at IceTitan80 with the thread, and then I'll read it off for everybody. I'll go on Twitter right now. Just put the thread, again, at IceTitan80. I'll put it in the chat too. And then I'll just see when it pops on my notification, and we can read the probable cringe to everyone. Because what's better than YouTube cringe? Twitter cringe. Oh, damn. That was quick. All right. I got 3 notifications already, so
What else is there to talk about? What else? Oh, did we talk about
Dale Jr. and Kyle Busch were on a live or a thing together?
Yeah, and I haven't listened to that yet. So can we skip it for now? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, no problem. I haven't listened to it.
I want to listen.
I mean, no offense to Dale Jr., but I think this is the NASCAR podcast.
Exactly. Too many people trying to saturate the market with NASCAR podcasts. This is where it's at. This is the nitty gritty. We are on the ground floor. It doesn't get any lower than us. We are the lowest of the low on the totem pole.
Everyone knows us.
Could you imagine how bad it would be if one of us ever got an invite to try to be on Dale Jr.'s podcast? We would not be able to keep it professional.
Oh, I would. For Dale, if you're watching, I will be the most professional guest you've ever had.
Dale, I might not be 21, but I'll bring beer. I know my favorite driver.
Dale, I'm 22. I'll bring whatever you want.
I have a lot of Dr. Pepper in my room. Just empty Dr. Pepper cans. I'll bring that.
And then there were two.
Caffeinated.
Yeah, and then there were two.
They keep getting comments about 8-car Hemrick. That's right. This weekend is that 8-car returning with Daniel Hemrick making his Cup debut. What do y'all? We feel like we've talked about this a little bit before, but what do you guys? You guys excited to see that? The car looks kind of cool.
The car does look good. And obviously we talk about why is this Richard Childress car a different font compared to the other ones, and that's obvious reason. It's the same font that was used for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, but it's also used for Richard Childress Racing, and Teresa will not let that number, which was part of their stuff, be seen in that way, which is kind of depressing. But at the same time, hope Daniel does good. Obviously, my name's Daniel, so I got to root for a Daniel. Got to hope he does good. But car looks nice, and I'm sure he might maybe be in the top 15 potentially. Maybe that's a good thing to shoot for. But do I expect him to be a contender? No, not really. I think he's just there to get some experience in the Cup Series.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much, just good laps.
Yep.
Hey guys, how does anyone know how long ago this beef went down? Because I'm scrolling through his timeline.
You guys
weren't quick enough giving me an update.
I first heard about it maybe a couple weeks ago on one of my streams. I don't watch Kamikaze. I also don't watch Ty Dillon's YouTube channel. I saw people that said we should talk about Ty Dillon's YouTube channel. I've watched like a little bit of one of the episodes. It felt a little. The problem is I know that it's not really most of his videos. Ty Dillon's not making them himself. He's got people that film and edit him, and it kind of lacks. I'm not a big Ty Dillon fan or anything. He's fine. He's a good guy, I guess. But that doesn't interest me.
See, I've met Ty Dillon, and I think he's pretty nice, genuine guy. But yeah, it does kind of lose that value when you know that a YouTube channel's not actually being fully done by the person that it says it is. So it does kind of lose its value a little bit. Now, if it's like, I don't know, it loses its genuine feel to it, I guess.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going through Kamikaze's thing, and what the hell does he have against Dale Jr.? He's retweeting Bob Pockrass tweets from 2014 about Junior crashing. It's like, damn, man. Like, no offense, man, but get a life. You're digging that far. That's
impressive. That's a lot of scrolling if you're just gonna sit there just 2014, man.
I still say I'd love to actually talk to Kamikaze one time just to know if it's all like a big act or something.
Yeah, because and don't worry, I'm not vegan. I am all for having a lot of Twitter and YouTube beef. That stuff's fun to watch.
I think you're right there, Aiden. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat, and I think that seems accurate. I think it's interesting when just an average fan like us, I don't want to say I necessarily lose respect for the athlete or the fan, although I think I maybe do a little bit of both. When big shot athletes allow random fans to get under their skin, I just think that's interesting. And thank you, foreign friend. I appreciate it.
To be fair, and I'm not saying it's justified by any means, but he is really big on YouTube comparatively. So there are probably a lot of people going after him. And CRT Network, Jared is my brother's name. He is autistic. Oh, okay. Let's see.
Well, you say Kamikaze's big on YouTube. Yeah, he is, but hey, Eric's actually technically bigger in terms of subscriber numbers. So, and you don't see him acting like that. So,
I tag drivers on Twitter all the time, and nobody. I think Dale Jr. once liked a reply I sent to somebody, and I don't know how he even found it, but he did. Now that's the closest. Oh, and 4 or 5 years ago, Kyle Busch retweeted one of my videos. That's it.
Guys, we're getting someone else join. We are welcomed by
Perfect
a new
timing.
person.
What's up?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We were just sort of getting into the stuff between Kamikaze and the Dillon boys.
Yeah, we like YouTube drama here. It's turned into the YouTube drama power hour.
Yep. You've literally just missed the entire Bristol recap, and now this has gone to us talking about Ty Dillon versus Kamikaze somehow. I feel like this is the third week in a row we've somehow talked on this, but I don't know.
We'll let you go ahead, and if you want, RealRadman, I don't know what to call you yet. We'll let you introduce yourself if you want to how many people we got watching? 120 people watching. Sweet deal. Hit that like button, boys. We got our guest here.
Click that like button.
Yep, you can like button. That's my first name, or if you just want to say Radman, you can say that. Hello everyone. RealRadman on YouTube. Just another NASCAR YouTuber just joining in on the guest show, and stuff like that. So I am ready to Kamikaze and Ty. That's a situation I've laughed at for the last couple of weeks, but I've never touched on just because I don't want to get involved in that. I just laugh from a distance and I mind my own business.
I call him NASCAR's EDP. If you watch Urinating Tree, that's how I equate him to.
I've seen I think one of Urinating Tree's most popular videos about, it was a couple months ago, something on NASCAR. No, it was actually a year ago, I think. A year ago. On something on NASCAR.
The way I see it when it comes to how we present our channels, the stuff that we edit and we put out, try to keep that a little bit professional. When we get on these live streams, it's literally whatever happens, honestly. And if this is the conversation it goes to, that's how it happens.
Just be glad you're not on the one that had the fan stream. We had about 15 minutes of terror for it was bad. We put the link in the chat thinking, oh, not many people will jump on.
Oh, mistake.
Yeah, that was my idea, and I fully admit to it. It
was fun for a moment, but then we realized it was a terrible mistake. No offense to the people who tried to join, but you got to admit that was pretty bad.
At the end of the day, we narrowed it to about 3 other people, and it got okay from there, But it was wild for a few minutes.
I've made one mistake already. I have the webcam up here in like my normal YouTube position, but I have to look down here to see you guys. So I'm gonna adjust this real quick.
I have my little bedside table here that I've stacked a couple of boxes on. My PS4 box is actually what my laptop is on right now, because my normal desk here, my apartment here has the worst lighting. I have a desk lamp right there up on my windowsills giving me my light, but I have such bad lighting in here. If I tried to set up with a webcam on my computer, I'll look like I'm washed out. I'll look like a ghost. So I have the most jerry-rigged setup for this thing in the world.
I look super white because this is my college setup.
Yep.
What I got.
I got 2 old dinosaur books when I was 5 years old underneath my computer, and it works.
Very specific. I have a Calvin and Hobbes comic collection underneath here, which I don't mean any disrespect. I love Calvin and Hobbes, but it's a laptop stand.
I have a laptop cooling pad under my laptop, so I feel like I'm probably the most professional setup here right now.
Cool. I did just buy a new mic today, so this is just for you get to be in on the ground floor here, Radman. You get to see the first episode with my voice sounding as good as it possibly can. So
you're welcome. Using this Yeti mic for a long time now, very long time.
I got one of those too.
I've got this good old blue snowball that I got on eBay for like $20, and then the arm and dragon pad, whatever this thing is.
Aiden Kirker 25 says, I'm on a road trip, and thank you guys for keeping me entertained. Well, you guys and trying to find Jimmie's next tweet.
I don't even know if do I even follow? I make the mistake of not following very many drivers on Twitter, which is really bad. Only a few of them tweet interesting things. I tried following Jeff Gordon for a while, but 90% of Jeff's tweets were just kind of they're just kind of boring, And I follow Matt Kenseth obviously, and he doesn't tweet hardly anything interesting ever. So it's kind of I need to find the good ones to follow. I don't even think I follow Jimmie, so that's bad on me.
I followed Denny Hamlin, and then the next day he said that I wasn't allowed to count down to Daytona, so I sort of stopped following drivers for a while after that one.
I follow.
It's okay, man.
I got everyone on there. Jeff Gordon actually liked my tweet the other day about him meeting a subscriber of mine, but I can never tell if it's a PR person or if it's Jeff. That's really hard to tell. I wish I knew.
I know, it's like, dang, is that the real person or not?
Yeah, the only reason I actually got on Twitter, because for the longest time, I made sure to never be on social media. And then it's like Junior got on Twitter. I'm like, screw it. It can't hurt that bad. Now I'm addicted.
Dale Jr. swore for the longest time he'd never be on social media, and now I feel like he's borderline addicted.
Oh, he is addicted.
One day, Carl Edwards will finally break down, and we'll find him on the dark web. At
MySpace.
Yeah,
I miss that guy so much.
I know.
I do too. Yeah, I was actually rooting for him to win the championship in 2016.
Carl, come back.
Coral.
Carl, if you're watching, please come on the podcast and defend yourself. We want to know what's happened to you. I don't think Carl's watching. There's a very
He's out there on a
chance.
farm doing what he does.
No, yeah. I mean,
Is this just going to be a stream where we all get close to the microphone?
you know, I have a new microphone, so I kind of like to test it. I'm sorry. This is just saying. Yeah. Okay, we should get down. We should find something to talk about. We should. What do we want to? We talked a little bit about the Mustang, but I feel like we didn't hit on that as much as maybe people wanted.
Yeah.
A lot of people just joined. So Ford introduced or announced that Mustang will be back, or not back. What am I trying to say? The Ford Mustang will be being run in the Cup Series starting next year. So I know me and you, Jarrett, we both kind of said we think it's interesting because they feel like they've finally gotten a real handle of the Fusion, because they got they got several of their drivers looking better than they ever have this year, and now they're going to switch to Mustang. It just seems like maybe this isn't the best timing, but I don't know. What do you think, Danny and Radman?
Well, since Rusty Walrus just said let the guest talk, I'd kind of like to open this up to Radman to put his thoughts out there.
Hi, Rusty. Yeah, the Mustang, I think it's been coming for a long time. Ever since they put in the Xfinity Series, it just seems right to have the Mustang in there. Performance-wise, yeah, they've been doing great this year. I don't think it'll be that much of a change for them going to the Mustang. They've had it in the Xfinity Series for so long that it shouldn't be too drastic. And they have had the old body for a while. They must see something. Ford has to be able to see something in terms of aerodynamic advantage to want to move over there, especially with Chevy going to the Camaro and Mustangs kind of rivals. So it's understandable. I expected it probably a couple of years ago. I kind of wish it would have been a couple of years ago. And we're getting it. So I'm happy about that. I don't know what the performance is going to be like. I was completely wrong on the Camaro. I thought they'd be killing it this year. I said they'd struggle, but not to this extent. So I was completely wrong on that. So I don't know what to expect when the Mustang comes in.
I mean, Chevy still got time, though. I mean, Toyota didn't really look like they were that good for at least a little bit until last year.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard to predict unless we get like the actual notes of what's going on in wind tunnel and stuff with all the manufacturers. And I don't know. I think personally for me, the Mustang it's just good to have a Mustang and a Camaro in NASCAR. Just sounds nice. Sounds, American muscle. The Camry doesn't fit in as well with that, but the Camry, I mean, I have a Camry. So like the Camry is getting sportier as the years go on. That's like Toyota's kind of goal there. So I think over time, people might get used to the Camry being in NASCAR and looking at it as instead of like a family car, like a sport car and it being in NASCAR. But having the Camaro and the Mustang in there will generate that manufacturer rivalry that was going on in the 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s between all those guys. So should be good.
I think it's exciting that you got now all three manufacturers have introduced a brand new car in the last, it'll be over like a 2.5 year span here. So it feels like everyone's kind of like how in 2013, it felt like everyone was even right at square one. And I didn't ignore that, RJ. I appreciate it. Thank you, man. But But I like that in 2013, they all kind of came, there's all kind of starting over at the same time. You kind of get the sense that now it's 4 or 5 years later, they're all starting over again. And we'll see now over the next couple of years who has the advantage. And then I've had some people ask me if rumors about the Gen 7 car, what could be coming next over the next few years, if the Mustang maybe is a precursor to that. I don't know. I don't think NASCAR has announced the rules package or anything for next year yet, but maybe this could give us an insight into what NASCAR is planning for next year and down the road. I don't know.
Whether it's in the chat about the X3, I'd seen something about that. I think in 2015 or 16 they talked about it, but it was just a rumor. But they're saying, Radman, that you know about it. Did you make a video about it this week then, or?
Yeah, I made it couple weeks ago now. The X3 was just a test car. It was never a a like bona fide new gen car or anything like that. It was just a simple test car that NASCAR like to do with their R&D department a lot. Just test something out and see what happens. So they were testing out something called an X3, which had some different innovations in there, and it was very successful. And after that, well, most test cars go. We just haven't heard of it since. I think the Gen 7 is not going to have a huge difference on the nose of the car, which is why NASCAR is, I guess, okay with allowing the Ford and the Chevy to bring in these new noses, and then they won't have to like completely reconstruct it again for Gen 7, because the main thing that I think they'll be looking at is the sides of the car and the rear of the car, and then the splitter / valence if they decide to go with that area. So I think that's why they're allowing all these new cars coming in now, and it would be an absolute mess if they had to completely change it 2 years from now. Costs would go through the roof, and it'd be a problem. So I think they're expecting the noses to be similar, just the parts around the car. But the X3 there was a little bit of a misconception. Like, is the X3 the new car? It was never a new car. It was simply just a test with a raised splitter. So the splitter, how these teams like to do it, they seal off the car now. As you can tell, it's very low to the ground. That's because of coil binding. That was introduced somewhere in the mid-2000s. And you saw that especially in 2007 with the last year of the Gen 4, how the car was just completely dropped to the ground. So these cars have been sealed. Air doesn't really get underneath. So what they were testing out is just a splitter that is raised in the middle, but down on the right front and left front fender. So it's basically impossible for the car to be sealed off, allowing a little bit of drag in the car and a little bit of clean air to get to the front of the nose, which could help aero. And then they were also testing a couple of engine cooling things. The aero ducts, I think, was on that car. Was that on the car? No, brake cooling stuff, I think. Cooling to the tires that would help the tires cool down instead of it like what it does now, which is just continuously build heat, and then the heat has nowhere to go. So it could melt the bead, or the tire just feels like a bouncing basketball. So they're testing that out. And they were testing the engine cooling had something to do with tape, so that tape would actually not affect the car. So you could, if you stick 100 tape on there, or if you stick like all tape on there or no tape on there, it doesn't affect it. So teams don't have to run their engine super hot and then pump a load of ice into it in qualifying, which can really hurt the engines overall in their long lifespan, which then improves cost and all that. And so that was really the X3. It worked. Haven't heard of it since. And I just hope that they carry some of those things into the new cars. They seem to like the aero ducts because that's what's being introduced in the All-Star race, which I'm in love with. Mm-hmm. Not in love with the restrictor plates, obviously, but it's a change. And
it's a gimmick, for a race here and there. I don't know.
It's the All-Star race. That's why I'm not looking into it too much. And hopefully one day they'll put all these innovations in there around 2020, 2021, whenever it happens. But I think they know that they're working on a new car. They just don't want to make it completely new, like Gen 4 to Gen 5, where it was just absolutely different. I don't think they want to do that. Just fix the little areas.
I think that makes sense. That's what makes sense to me. I wonder. Obviously, Mustang's going to basically match whatever the Camry. The rules package is going to be the same across all of them. I just wonder, if maybe even as early as 2019 we'll see any considerable changes. I doubt it. I guess I feel like that's probably they're saving the biggest changes. I know they're testing things like in the All-Star race with the extra aero ducts. They're messing with the spoilers and all that. I don't know how they're gonna. I don't know. I guess it's just interesting to speculate when we'll see any new permanent changes take place, because I doubt they're going to stick with what they have this year across the board for too much longer. Enough people seem like they want it changed. NASCAR seems like they're willing to put forth the effort to research and develop new types of, new innovations or new ideas to change it. So I don't know. I guess we'll see how it goes down the road.
I would say 2020 is your best bet.
I remember the first I heard about the Gen 6 was late 2010, early 2011. So I think they learned from the stuff with the COT, even though they had a lot of time in advance, they sort of just cut really quick to it. So I think what they're going to do for the teams is sort of build up over time the amount of cars they have. Because I remember with even the Gen 6, they did, the first few weeks, they didn't even have, the smaller teams didn't even have the, allotted amount of cars they needed. They were like having to bring cars from Phoenix to Las Vegas or from Daytona to Phoenix. And it was still a mess. So hopefully third time's the charm and they can learn about it and not screw with the team's pocketbooks too much.
Yeah.
That's where the engine changes are going to be a little bit complicated, because if you want to change the engine, if you want to do specific things in that department, that's a lot of money. So that's going to be a little bit iffy there, especially what I think a lot of fans want. They want them to put the horsepower back in, take the tapered spacer off. I don't think that'd be a huge change. You just take the tapered spacer off and give the horsepower back. And then with the body of the car, add more drag, which is what the spoiler is meant to do, which is what the raised splitter is meant to do. That's just all to add drag to the car to slow them down. If they can do that, that'd be great. If they go the opposite direction of adding a restrictor plate for all the races, I don't think it'll sit down well with most people, but we have to see the All-Star race and see what it does.
I gotta ask, are you on like Team Valence or Splitter? Because most of our chat is usually in Valence.
Well, I've been Valence for a long time, and I think it comes down to more or less just the fact that, the splitter, if you make one wrong move and barely hit the grass, you destroy your car. I think I remember back to 2011, I think it was, when Carl Edwards won the All-Star race, just completely destroyed his car, just trying to do like a simple slide in the grass after he won, all because of the spoiler. I mean, not spoiler, but splitter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Valence makes the most sense to me, just arrow-wise. I don't know. Racing would probably be better. I know they got this. I don't know all the aerodynamics behind it, but yeah.
I would say Valence if they can get the cars up. If they can't, if the cars are still going to be sealed to the ground, I would say splitter, but with the adjusted height where the middle is raised up. So,
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you can get a Valence up. That's the problem. I have no idea. I mean, I don't know much about it. That's one thing I haven't asked Liam is what can you do with a Valence and what's the differences between a Valence and a splitter? And if we do went back to Valence, can we get the car off the ground? Because that's the biggest thing that we need to do to allow the cars just to not be affected by air as much.
And I think you mentioned it earlier. I think the biggest, kind of one of the biggest factors in this whole deal as they develop new types of, aerodynamic stuff and new cars for the coming years is how do they do that and still manage costs? Because it's no secret NASCAR is doing a lot of stuff to cut costs these days. And so making these innovations without completely breaking the bank is something NASCAR is trying to do. And I just don't know if they'll be able to do it well. That's why it's I don't know. It's risky. It's suspect. We don't know what to expect. We think NASCAR is going to try and make the right decision, but are they physically going to be capable of doing it is another question.
And we know it's coming because they talked about in 2014 about that they're working already on the Gen 7 car. So I think it's sort of going to be like once every 10 years or so they change to a new generation, sort of try and draw hype from that. So like I said, it's not mentioned or a matter of if, it's just when they're going to do it. I think in the next few years they're going to announce it, then have a year or two, maybe 3 to keep developing it and get it right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So do you guys want to move on? Do we have what else do we have to talk about? Did you have a list or anything? Did Jared? I don't remember if what have we not hit on from this last week or moving forward?
We haven't hit Richmond yet. Okay. I don't have anything written down for that other than I know it's a Saturday night on Fox. I think it's on MRN if I'm not mistaken. And is it still the Toyota Owners 400? I can't remember.
I have no idea.
They change this stuff so much.
I never know what the race names are anymore.
I know. I obviously can't go this weekend, but I would love to go to Richmond maybe in the fall because they've done so much to like enhance like the fan experience from what I've heard over there. Like it's supposed to be really fan friendly over at Richmond now.
They built a brand new infield. It's completely different now, and it looks pretty cool. I haven't seen it in person, but
was that part of their whole rebranding? Because like they changed the name, the logo. Yep. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's the entire. They've really changed how they present themselves as a racetrack, which I think is cool.
Yeah,
it's funny. I seen a picture of it, and there was somebody left a comment, and it was like, I wish NASCAR still raced there, and I was like, wait, they do. I literally think that they were confusing it with Rockingham because I think it kind of looked kind of similar to the way Rockingham used to look.
Actually, before we get into Richmond, I like this question because I'd like to hear your answer, our guest's answer for this. But Tyler asks, favorite NASCAR game you've played and why? I think I've said mine's like a tie between NASCAR Thunder 04, 07, And honestly, I'd say NASCAR Heat too, especially if we're talking about console games. That's what I'd go with that.
Yeah, mine's been NASCAR 2005 Chase for the Cup in terms of console, but in terms of in general, I don't count iRacing because that's something completely different. But NASCAR Racing 2003 is kind of borderline game, borderline sim. So I guess those are my favorites.
Yeah, 04 for me. That's the one I still play to this day.
iRacing for me, but that's not console. So I love iRacing lately. It's just great. It's realistic. Console wise, 04 by far. I never played that, and I did like the entire playthrough on it. So it was completely new to me, and it was fresh in my mind, and I was like, this is pretty cool. So yeah, that's by far, I think, the best in my opinion.
Did you guys?
I love iRacing too. I haven't had much time to actually get on it and improve my rating or anything, but I still love like the experience of it. I would love to do videos of it. And I tried to do videos back a few weeks ago with OBS, but my computer just cannot. It can run the game, it cannot record the game at the same time though, and it's like it sucks with that. But now I'm almost curious. I've got. If you haven't seen it yet on my channel, I've got a video where I got to go drive for 5 laps around the Bristol Motor Speedway in my pickup truck. Very, very frustrating. A lot of road rage. Just go check it out sometime after this. But during that, I used these little small cameras from a company called Mobius, like way cheaper than a GoPro, for very similar video quality. I'm almost wondering if I could get a hat mount because I've got a 49-inch TV that I could do iRacing on, and I'm almost curious if that would look somewhat decent if I tried to do videos like that, because I would love to do iRacing videos and everything, but I just don't have the right equipment for it to actually record off my computer.
I think it would have to be the actual gameplay recorded, because if you have like a head mount, the head moves and it doesn't capture the screen as well. So I guess you could do like the webcam and then have that in the corner, but that actually adds more. I don't do it because it adds more stress to the computer. Actually, I haven't even tried it, having like the webcam and iRacing at the same time. But yeah, I use OBS. I notice a slight performance drop when I record, but I think I have the equipment that works fine. If you could set iRacing to its lowest like detail as possible, I think you should be good. Like if you take the crowd away and if you don't lower the details of the cars, because that's really important, but lower the details of just track objects and stuff like that, you should be able to do it.
Maybe you can private message me all that sometime, just kind of how to set that up better.
Yeah, I'll try to help you out.
And maybe, like you said, that's part of my problem, is that I was trying to do webcam too, because I'm trying to do way professional, way too fast. Maybe that's just what I have to do or something.
Yeah, I haven't tried it, so I don't know.
All right, so okay, now we can move on to Richmond then, I guess. Do we just want to talk about like I don't know, picks for Richmond? Race is on Saturday, so we only got a couple. I mean, do the Cup cars practice tomorrow? Or I guess they don't practice till Friday. They do it all on Friday probably, but I don't know. Who's y'all's picks?
Richmond's kind of a hard one for me to pick. Like Kyle Larson won it the last time we were there. I didn't really expect Kyle Larson to win at Richmond for some reason, but I don't know. I guess for me, a go-to driver there is usually Denny Hamlin. Like he usually always runs good. That's his home track. He knows it the best. He would be a great one. Kyle Busch usually ran pretty well there. He could try to go for 3 in a row like Harvick did this season. But I'm kind of more leaning towards Denny Hamlin for this one.
I don't know who I'm going to pick yet. I think just based off of how the end of last year went and how he did, I'm going to go with Truex. I think Truex will win this week.
He's never won at a short track in the Cup Series.
Well, he didn't win a championship till last year either, so anything can happen.
I honestly, part of me wants to go with Larson because he won here last. Was it last year? I don't remember when he won here. I don't remember. It wasn't that long ago.
It was the fall race.
Okay, yeah, he won here last year. He's coming off. He had probably the top 2 car at Bristol, which is also a short track. So I feel like I should pick Larson, but I picked Larson last week, so I don't really want to go 2 in a row. I'm gonna go with the safe, consistent bet, and I'm gonna go with Denny Hamlin. At
the same time, though, I didn't bring him up. I want to see how Blaney does because he ran really well at Bristol. No. I'm not saying I would pick him. I'm still going to go with Hamlin, but I do want to see how Blaney does based on how he did at Bristol.
I'm going with one of the Penske guys. I think a Penske car will. Yeah, I don't think Logano will win. I haven't seen the winning speed from him yet. Keselowski or Blaney. I think they were fast at Bristol before Keselowski had the tire and Blaney had the unfortunate crash. So I'm going Penske. They haven't won yet this year, so I think they're due.
Oh yeah,
that's
right.
surprising. We talked about it earlier about how good Ford's been, and I mean, Penske's been good. I think all three of their teams are technically in the top 6 in points, so that's pretty good.
Logano's second.
Yeah, Logano's second. Can we talk about that for a second? The fact that he didn't
finish 6th every week. That's what I've been noticing.
Exactly.
That's
he just flies under the radar.
He's having like a Ryan Newman 2014 season, like not winning, but he's there.
Yeah, no, he reminds me of Kenseth in 03. Just work on it all day, just get right up to the front, and then just right at the end, just get a top 5 or top 10, just scoot under the radar.
Yeah, he's gonna scoot his way right into Homestead like this.
Yeah,
the most flashy way.
Which after last season, I'm sure he wouldn't mind that. So
NASCAR fan 4818 says Jimmie Johnson will win. You're praying, my friend. That's a long shot there.
Coming off his best race.
I sense bias.
How long has it been since he won at Richmond?
I have no idea. Last time he won at Richmond.
I'm going to Racing Reference for that one.
I'm pretty sure Johnson has won at every track at least once. Or there might be like one
has he won at Kentucky?
I think he's won it. Yeah, I think Kentucky's one that he has not. I think that might be the only one.
I think that's the only one, and it's only because it's still new.
Mm-hmm.
Someone said, Rail fan Mike said, "How about Paul Menard?" Nah, man, I can't pick Paul Menard.
No, okay,
not yet.
We were talking. We were talking earlier about Paul Menard, and granted, I kind of think that he can win this season. Like we were talking about how he's basically the 4th Penske cars, and at one time I was at the race in Bristol, I looked up and all 4 of them, including Paul, were in the top 4 at one time. I was like, wow, look at the Penske cars.
Wait till Kansas. That's all I say. Kansas is the only track where I can ever pick him because he's actually good there.
I can only pick him at the big fast tracks, and even then I wouldn't pick him. I'd pick him for a top 10.
Gray Galding. Now we're just getting out of hand. Come on.
Well, they know that Danny doesn't like Gray Galding at all. So
I've never really been a Galding fan for the simple fact that he's been pushed way too fast, way too hard. Like the dude went from a K&N series ride that was pretty solid, had solid Krispy Kreme backing. And I was like, wow, look at this kid making good steps. Next thing you know, boom, he's a Truck Series driver. Doesn't even do a full season. Boom, he's a Xfinity Series driver. Doesn't even do a full season. Boom, I'm a Cup Series driver. You sped yourself way too much. You're not ready for this.
All right, Jimmie Johnson last one at Richmond in the fall of 2008.
Good time.
So probably not a safe bet.
No, not this year.
But hey, Earnhardt Jr. won a Daytona 500 once, and then 10 years later, so anything can happen.
Yeah, but he was actually good in the middle, so like at that track.
I refuse to pick a Hendrick car until I actually see them win. I just can't do it.
Yeah, same with me. Same with me. I mean, because someone asked earlier if how Chase Elliott would be with the 45 points, and he'd still be right on the cut line, even with the 45 points given back.
I mean, I always think I have this like method that there's always one driver that has a bad season. Chase is in that realm to do it. It's too early yet, but I mean,
he's had okay performance. It's been a couple of wrecks, like either one when Kurt Busch wrecked into him at, I don't remember where it was, Auto Club or Vegas, I don't remember where it was, or this last week wrecking on lap 4. You know, he's had just some bad luck. I don't know.
That's the difference. If he was wrecking himself, I'd be like, damn, Chase, you gotta get. But I mean, he's had some pretty bad luck.
I said earlier, if he can just get through Talladega without getting caught up in the big one, which is pretty hard for him statistically at super speedways, but if he can just be there at the end, I think that one could be the one for him.
You never want to have Talladega circled as like a must-win or must-do-well race, unless you're Brad Keselowski. That seems to always work out well, but I don't know. Yeah, he'll be good there.
I think he needs to have a little bit of a cooler head at the restrictor plates to win. He's great. I'm a Chase Elliott supporter. He's fantastic at the plate tracks, but he's a tiny bit too aggressive. Like, we're talking pulling some crazy blocks on like lap 10.
I think it's getting to the point to where he knows that he needs to get that monkey off his back so he can get some of these people, these haters, to kind of leave him alone for a little bit. And he's just getting to the point where when it comes to a track like that, he's willing to do things that others wouldn't.
Yeah, I remember. I want to say it was 2016 was his rookie year. He got the pole, or he was second, and Dale Jr. is on the front row, and maybe Dale Jr. fan. I'm sitting there like watching, and it's like lap 3. He pulls like from the wall down to the bottom to barely block him, and like even Junior's like dude, chill out. Like over the radio, it's like, chill out, man. Like you're going overboard here. It's like, I don't know. Elliott seems to be the person who kind of gets unlucky, or he gets trapped in his head. He becomes a head case. So until
one of my friends met
he
him,
can prove himself.
One of my friends met him, and they say he's kind of like an awkward guy. Like he's not like apparently comfortable with the attention, I guess. And I can understand that. Ever since he's been put in the spotlight, you could kind of tell he's quiet, awkward, humble. It's not bad. But then like when he gets on the racetrack at a plate track, like that just completely goes away, and he turns into like Jeff Gordon 1994, where he's just flying all over the place, being reckless. And people forget like Jeff Gordon back in his rookie year wrecked 17, 18 times. Like he was a wrecking maniac. And same thing with Chase too, and not at the other tracks, but like at the play tracks, his mindset is aggressive, attack. And sometimes you just have to understand, like, I'm gonna lay back a little bit, but with the pressure adding on, and I think he needs to maybe look back, like sit back and understand it's not his fault. The entire team is underperforming. So just have fun. Like instead of just worrying about, you could just tell like when he's on the radio or interviews or anything like that after a wreck, he's just kind of like dejected. And back when he was actually first coming into the sport, people would make fun of him because he'd be so hard on himself. And I think he needs to get that out of his racing mentality a little bit to improve. Because once he does get a win, once he's able to get that monkey off his back and he's able to relax a little bit, if Hendrick give him the cars, he'll go flying.
He reminds me of like the complete polar opposite end, but the same problem as Kyle Busch for a long time, where Busch he was over aggressive, but at the same time, instead of being like really shy and reserved, he was more just, he'd just do dumb things, just like Elliott sometimes can do that. And and they have a ton of talent both. I'm not saying that I don't think Elliott has as much talent as Kyle Busch, but he still has a ton of talent. It's a lot of it, I think, it lands on him.
It wasn't really until 2008 when Kyle Busch really like became Kyle Busch,
Yeah, but I mean, this is what, Elliott's third year?
Yeah, so I mean, Kyle would have been about in his like fourth or fifth year by the time he really became, the Kyle Busch that we know now. So
yeah, it's just, I think it's like around the third or fourth year is when drivers, it's like you either can tell whether or not they're going to be like that driver that wins maybe between 10 and 20 races, or a superstar, or a complete bust. And right now I see Elliott riding in that 10 to 20 race win career, if he can finally start winning.
I think it's just hard for a lot of these drivers, these young drivers coming into the sport, because they're not as, Chase Elliott's like 21, 22, however old he is. He's got more than 10 years less experience in stock cars than even Kyle Busch does, or more than like Kevin Harvick does. And you look at like this season, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, who's been good the last few years, they're just wiping the floors with people. Now that Jeff Gordon's gone, they don't have to compete with him. Jeff Gordon, like Chase Elliott, I think he's going to be a 30-40 race winner in his career. I think but at this point, you take Jeff Gordon out, you put Chase Elliott in. Chase Elliott's not as good as Jeff Gordon. You take whoever's been in the 14 car and move Tony Stewart before 2015, 2016, Tony Stewart. They're not nearly as good. You take Eric Jones in the 20, not nearly as good as Matt Kenseth right now. You look at Suarez in the 19, not nearly as good as Carl Letters. I'm being redundant here, but my point is, it feels like I just named 4 drivers who over the last 15 years were 4 of the top 10 drivers in the sport every week. And there are guys like Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, and others had to beat. And now that they're gone, it looks too easy for Kyle Busch. It looks too easy for Kevin Harvick. I think back to Phoenix at the end of last season. Matt Kenseth out-veteraned Chase Elliott, or Dover. Kyle Busch out-veteraned Chase Elliott. This year, we had Kyle Busch kind of out-veteran Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson was stuck to that bottom, even though his team was telling him it was hard on the tires. He ran out of gas at the end, and Kyle Busch beat him. I just feels like it's too easy for these veterans right now, because a lot of these other veterans that they've had to go up against for years are dropping out, and it's just these young guys. We see, like, I think Larson is more talented than honestly he runs. I actually think Kyle Larson might be one of the top 5 most talented drivers out there, but I think he's in a 15th place car running 5th, which I think is really impressive. I think Chase Elliott right now is also kind of in a 15th place car, and that's just kind of rough for him this season. But, you look at you know, Eric Jones is running, the 20 car last year. The 20 car last year ran, made the playoffs. Or Suarez is a better example. Carl Edwards went from just missing out on a championship to then we saw Suarez take over that car, and it's just hasn't been nearly as good. And it's not to say that these guys aren't going to have good careers. Like I said, I think Chase will win 30, 40 races. I think Jones will win at least 20 races. Suarez maybe 5 or 6, 10 races. I don't know about Suarez, but they don't have the experience, and it really is showing, especially the end of last season, and I'd say so far this season. Other than Austin Dillon and Bubba catching lightning in a bottle and finishing 1-2 at Daytona, the young drivers have been no match for guys like Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, specifically Hamlin to a lesser extent. Truex already has a win. It's just I don't know. It's hard for me to sit here and really critique the young drivers like Chase Elliott or like Larson or Jones or any of them, because it's just hard to see in 5 years when there's no Jimmie Johnson, there's no Kevin Harvick. Kyle Busch probably is out of the prime of his career at that point. He'll still be good, but he'll be out of the prime of his career. You'll have Chase Elliott will be going up against Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano. And I think they can beat those drivers, or I don't know. That's just me. So I think it's hard to pinpoint. It's hard to really pin down how good they are now or how good they can be, because they just have so much less experience than some of these other guys. They're in equivalent rides, which is why people expect so much from them, but they just have such less experience. And I don't know. I was pretty wordy right there, but that's why I have just such a hard time really predicting how these guys' full careers are going to play out, at this point.
The way I say it, they're all going to have their times to shine later in their career, obviously. But the important thing for them to do now is to just survive this part of their career and not be so bad that there won't be a place for you in the future. Like we've seen a lot of drivers who had a lot of potential to maybe be something in the Cup Series in the long run that just never really materialized. Like Justin Allgaier, he showed so much potential back in 2010 racing for Roger Penske, and now he's kind of had to stick to the Xfinity Series. Somebody like back when Jack Roush's team was one of the elite teams still, you had their drivers like Colin Braun showed a lot of potential in the Camping World Truck Series, but he couldn't keep up when he got into the Nationwide Series and ultimately lost his ride. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was so close to being in the same position as Colin, but ultimately he was given a second chance. Trevor Bayne, he started off showing so much potential with Michael Waltrip Racing, but other than the 2011 Daytona 500, we were kind of talking about this in our little group chat. It just hasn't really been much ever since then. It's just that these drivers in a weird position to where they've got to come in and be fairly strong a little bit, but not don't be so underrated that you're not going to be there when it's your time to shine.
It reminds me of the old from about 2007 to about 2013, just every Xfinity race. That's kind of the phase we're in right now. I don't think it's going to be as long in Cup Series because the talent pool is so much better, but that's just kind of what it reminds me of, where you can have the same rides, but the driver has more experience or it's just more talented. They're going to wipe the floor with you. So, I mean, look at how big of a point lead Kyle Busch has this year.
Yeah, Kyle Busch has finished top 3, I think 6 races in a row, maybe 7 actually. I'm trying to think. He
didn't at Daytona, and I think that's the only one I can remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just experience more than anything right now.
I see a couple of things about. I think Taz said something about. It was Michael saying Hendrick's in rebuilding mode. I wouldn't say that. I would just say they suck right now. It's like the cars suck. Ever since Gordon left, and even Gordon's last year, 2015. The reason why I don't judge Chase as harshly as some other drivers is because I don't think he has the car at the moment. Same thing with Bowman. Same thing with William Byron. I don't expect anything out of William Byron for the next couple of years. Mainly because the cars suck. And until that comes back, and you'll see it whenever Jimmie starts to run a little bit better. He's the head honcho there. And I think people forget a little bit Chase has been the main guy the last 2 seasons, fastest for Hendrick. Another thing people forget with Larson, Chase, Christopher Bell, Eric Jones, you have to look at these guys and what they do outside of NASCAR when they were growing up. How fast were they on short tracks or dirt? Chase Elliott was crazy fast growing up, won Xfinity Series in his rookie year. William Byron should have won the truck championship, wins the Xfinity Series championship. When you put them in good rides, they're they're winning. Christopher Bell and Eric Jones have tremendous talent. Kyle Busch raves about Eric Jones all the time. And when you get, good reviews from Kyle Busch, you're pretty good. And Eric Jones can easily show that he can hang with Larson on dirt tracks and even beat him sometimes. So when people look out, that's where I look at like driver talent. So that's where I see who is the most talented driver. I look outside of NASCAR because right now NASCAR, if you have the car, you can do something. And I think Larson's overachieving with his car. I think Eric Jones is about par, and he can get a little bit better, and then you'll see other guys come up. But I think that's the big thing with the young guys is, unfortunately, NASCAR is always going to be about, what kind of team are you in, what kind of car you got, and then the driver can put their imprint on the race. And when we go to tracks like Martinsville and we go to tracks like a Bristol or a short track, and then you see maybe Jimmie Johnson runs third. Well, why is that? What is it? Because the driver can have more input. So that's something that I think a lot of fans should look at instead of, because I've seen a lot of Chase Elliott busts. Surprisingly, I've seen a lot of people say Chase Elliott's going to be a bust, and I just don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Judging the drivers outside the sport, because I think you're right. That says a lot. I think it's also fair because you look at of all these young drivers we're talking about, which of them probably has the best car? I would say it's probably Ryan Blaney, and guess what? He is like top 5, and he's somewhere in the top 5 in points right now. So I guess that's a fair statement. I think, yeah, people. I was going to ask you that because I know you're Chase Elliott fan. I don't follow Chase Elliott nearly as close as a lot of other people do. And I know there's a lot of like turmoil maybe in that fan base, and I've seen people trying to call Chase Elliott a bust, and I don't really know where that's coming from. The dude's been in the top. Was it last year he was in the round of 8 or the year before? He's been made it deep
last year, round of 8, trying to win. He had 2 opportunities to win, getting the championship race.
He should have won Martinsville until, yeah, that's right. And so to call him a bust when he's got Hendrick level cars, he's a top 10, top 8, maybe top 5 or top 6 driver or team in the sport. I think this year Hendrick's not good. When Jimmie starts running top 5 consistently, we'll know that Chase and Bowman should be running a little bit better.
Yeah. Those tracks he was at, it was Martinsville. Martinsville, a driver track. You don't need a great car at Martinsville, so that's why I'm pretty confident.
I'll say this. A lot of people have dogged on Chase Elliott, and really a lot of people have dogged on the entire new Hendrick drivers in general. They've literally said that the 3 that they have now may never win a race in their career. That is no way that's going to happen. Honestly, I fully expect every single one of the new drivers that Hendrick has now to get at least a couple of wins before their career is over with Hendrick, whether or not they retire with Hendrick or whether or not they move on to a different ride. I fully expect them to get at least a couple of wins with Hendrick Motorsports.
Yeah, I could see Bowman getting a handful. Byron, in my opinion, is the most talented
I think
of the new Hendrick guys.
I think Byron's going to be a lot like Logano when you just give him when he gets into my age, when he gets about 22, 23, I think he's going to really show a little bit more.
I'm So Epic 8 put in there that Danica Patrick was a bust, and in other news, the sky is blue. I just wanted to point that out. I like taking those little digs at Danica.
I haven't taken a dig at Danica in a long time. She's been gone.
I think I'm going to make a sooner rather than later a video just making digs at Danica, just taking different points of her NASCAR career and just making it one giant compilation of mush. But yeah, I see Bowman. Bowman will probably get a few, because I mean we saw how he did at Phoenix in 2016, and he did get a few top 10s. I see Byron, of any of the new guys at Hendrick, is who I think will be the most likely to be a superstar. And then if Chase Elliott doesn't get a win in the next 5 years, then we can start maybe calling him a bust.
If he doesn't get a win in the next 2 years, if he doesn't get a win this year, I think it's
honestly, yeah. I think William Byron's the most he's the most
potential.
Interesting. Yeah, the most potential, because I feel like
there's the least experience.
There's a 50-50 chance Byron, in my opinion, becomes I don't think he'll win 90 races like Jeff Gordon, but I think he has the potential to take over the sport maybe in the way Jeff Gordon did. I think right now I actually think Chase Elliott has the best chance of having the best career, because I think we've already seen that Chase Elliott's rookie season, he made the playoffs, made it into the round of 12, I think, in his rookie season. William Byron, I know Hendrick's cars probably aren't as good, and I think he is driving the 5 car from the last few years, which has not been good. So it's tough to judge him based on that, but he's not looking as good as Chase did in his rookie year. So I think Chase Elliott's of the three young Hendrick drivers, I think he's the best right now, and I think he has the best chance, in my opinion, of having the most statistically successful career. Because while I say Byron might end up being like a superstar, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be the most successful driver. Dale Jr. was the most popular driver in the sport. He was never really the most successful. So I don't know. I just think Byron's very interesting. I was hoping he'd run better this year. I think I picked him to finish like 10th or 11th in points this year. I'm kind of regretting that now, but there's still time. You never, you can catch lightning in a bottle.
To be fair to Byron,
I don't expect anything out of him this year. I'm going to let him do what he does.
I was riding the high of him coming off a truck championship, or no, he should have won the truck championship and then winning an Xfinity championship. I thought he would bounce into the Cup Series and surprise us.
To be fair to him, his Hendrick does suck this year. So, I mean, in 15.
I still think there's a chance that Byron could win at the super speedways, one of them.
No, not aggressive enough.
No.
Yeah, no. Nathan Nelson, what fish is that? Bluegill, not a largemouth bass.
I think there's one last thing I'm going to touch. I think I saw someone mention Suarez. I am about to get critical on Suarez. I'm not there yet because he's in the 19. I think he needs to be running a lot better. He's had a couple things this year that have been out of his control, but I need to see him up front. I think Bristol was decent for him. He was running around 5th. I just need to see him do that more. Just one last thing on Elliott. I was always a Jeff Gordon fan. I think most people know that about me. I'm a huge Jeff Gordon fan. I love the guy. I think he arguably is top 2 in terms of driving talent. So that hurt Chase when Chase came into the sport. But I remember when I was watching Gordon and then the Chase Elliott hype started in the Xfinity series. And I remember watching, it was the Darlington race where there was multiple Cup drivers. I think it was like his prom week or something. He didn't go. Goes to Darlington, destroys the field. Like with this rookie in Xfinity, just absolutely destroys the field. That one race has always stood out to me until we're like, when I was still a fan of Gordon and I looked at Elliott and I saw the hype and I saw Gordon hyping him up and I saw Hendrick hyping him up and I saw everyone hyping him up. I was like, is the hype real? And then wins the championship and all that. And then first year. And that's why I became a supporter of Chase, because I saw the equivalent driving talent in a young Chase that I could kind of see in a Gordon, the savvy veteranship of being able to hit like consistent lap times and stuff. That hasn't gone away. That's the thing that I still see in that 24 team that was 19. I still see like a driver that hits his marks, doesn't make mistakes. I still see that kind of stuff. The car is just slow. Now, is that because the driver? I don't know. So someone said something about Dale Jr. was not trash.
I agree.
That's a discussion.
Did any of us say that he was trash?
I sure didn't.
I don't know.
There's probably somebody in the chat. I mean, the chat is borderline cancer.
Oh,
so.
no.
But yeah, I just think for Elliott, I know I'm a little bit biased. I'm not too biased because, like I said, I don't like this guy as nearly as much as I love Gordon. Like Gordon's my childhood hero, idol kind of guy. Just give him time, and whenever the cars do improve, I think eventually they have to. Then it'll happen. Suarez is. I'm getting kind of nervous on him. I want him. He's a great guy, and I like him, and I don't have nothing wrong with him. But it's getting time to where I need to see something, at least content for a win. If you lose out, oh well. I haven't seen that. I can't recall a race where Suarez had like the best car or led a lot of the laps or anything like. I can't remember.
No, I completely agree. I'm like you said. I like Daniel Suarez a lot. I'm really rooting for him. I just think. We knew he won the Xfinity Championship in 2016. He beat like Eric Jones, Allgaier. But that was really, if you look at the overall season, Jones was better, Allgaier was better. He just caught lightning in a bottle and won that race. And that was honestly, that's the best moment I've seen from Suarez's career, where he actually like impressed me to the point where I was like, wow, I did not expect him to come through and win this race. And there he did. But that being said, even when like last season you had him and Eric Jones going for Rookie of the Year, Suarez is probably on the better, I would say definitely on the better team, better car, and he wasn't as good as Eric Jones. I think that kind of proved that, Suarez, as much as I like him, I think he's destined to be a 10th to 15th place driver, even in good equipment. I don't know. The thing is, I think he's 26 or 27. He's older than these young drivers that are popping up with all this hype and all this potential. I think He's 24th, I think, in points right now, which is way lower. I think he needs to make the playoffs this year. I thought he would, or I don't remember if I actually picked him to make the playoffs. I think I picked him to be on the bubble, but I really hoped he made the playoffs. I think he really, really needs to make the playoffs this year. He doesn't necessarily have to win a race. I mean, if Chase Elliott can come to the sport with all the hype behind him and not win a race in 2.5 years, Suarez can go 2 years without winning a race. I'll let that slide, but he needs to make the playoffs. He needs to contend for a few wins. He ran pretty well at Bristol, even with the broken thumb or whatever he had, which I thought was really impressive. But I don't know. He's clearly not as good as Carl Edwards was in the 19, but I think that doesn't surprise any of us. It's just at some point he's got to be better. I think you said it.
The closest Gibbs car in points to him is 76 points ahead of him.
Yeah, he's the worst of the 4 Gibbs cars talent-wise
by far. Like,
I don't know by far.
I just meant by like teams. I mean, by far between the driver and the team, they've been the worst performing, no question whatsoever.
I just think, Kyle Busch obviously head and shoulders above everyone else. Hamlin's there. He's good, but there. Jones is one of the best young drivers. Suarez is middle of the pack. I think if you put Suarez, he's the kind of guy that I think he's in that 19 car because Carl Edwards mysteriously left. He wasn't ready for a full-time Cup ride. I think that's evident. I think that was evident even at the time, So he's a guy that I worry he's going to go kind of like Danica did or something of the sort where, you rush him, or maybe how Byron could end up potentially if he doesn't start to, figure things out over the next year or two. He could just, be a victim of being rushed to the Cup Series too quick, despite being good equipment. Maybe he goes like Logano did. Logano came in with a lot of potential, really young, got to Gibbs, really wasn't that good for a few years there, switched to Penske, championship contender. So who knows? That could go the way that could be how Suarez goes too. I hope it is.
I see someone keep mentioning Casey Kane. I'm sorry to be harsh, but his time passed.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to say this to you as well. You're not even spelling his name right. You're saying Casey Kayan.
I spelled his name wrong too when I was younger. It's hard.
He's been irrelevant for so long that it's kind of hard to remember what his name spelled like. So
very talented driver when he was young, but went to Hendrick and couldn't achieve. There was also one other driver I saw. I've been saying this a lot. What do you think if Larson was in a high Toyota or Ford? I've been saying this since Larson came into the sport. I think he carries Ganassi way beyond what Ganassi's talent is.
Look where McMurray is right now.
God, if you put Larson in a better, dear God, he could dominate. That's what I've always thought.
We'd be looking at that one year that Gordon won like 13 races. I mean, look how Truex did when he finally got in a good car. I mean, he won 8 races last year, and I don't think Truex is really a superstar level talent. It's just he had the best team out there. Now give Larson, who's arguably in the top 5 most talented drivers in Cup right now, the best ride. I think we're looking at like how Kyle Busch used to treat the Xfinity Series.
I don't know if I'd go that far, guys, but yeah,
Larson, think I would.
You put him in like the 18 car, he's a top 2 or 3 driver in the sport.
Look where Jamie McMurray is. Like, he's 22nd in points if you look at the chase grid with that. I don't know where Dylan falls in all this.
Look at the history of Ganassi. When have they ever been a great team?
Yeah.
I think the best year they had before this, last time I can think of them being a good team, is when McMurray barely missed the chase but was really good in 2004, or when Sterling Marlin led the points in 2002 and then got hurt and ended up.
And we're talking about missing the chase. Larson competes for wins. I hope one day Larson. Either Ganassi build a better team, or I personally think he needs to go somewhere else. That's my opinion.
Here's just an idea, and I'm wanting to throw this out here to you guys. And after the 2009 season, so 2010. We saw them enforce what I like to call the Jack Roush rule. At the time, 2009, Jack Roush had 5 full-time teams. He had Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, Greg Biffle, David Reagan, and Jamie McMurray, 5 teams. And it was like getting to a point to where NASCAR wanted to limit it to just 4 teams. And now we don't even have the same 43-car field. Is it time to kind of get rid of that rule to allow teams to open up a few more rides to give more drivers a better chance or something?
I don't think it'll make a difference these days. I think had they not had it, 10 years ago, 10 years ago at this point now? I mean, in hindsight's 2020, but looking back, Roush had 5 fully funded cars, and that was about the time when the sponsorships started drying up, and people started to stop watching in a more steady decline than before. So I mean, I don't think it helped now because the teams just don't have the money these days and the sponsorship to do it. But I guess go for it and see if anyone wants to try. Best luck to them.
I try to think like which big team with 14 cars right now would be even in a position to open a fifth one. And you think of Gibbs or Hendrick, and I just don't even know. Like Gibbs couldn't even keep that with their affiliation with Furniture Row. They couldn't keep that 77 car funded. They had to take half the sponsorship from the 77 with half the sponsorship on the 20 and put it all on the 20. So I don't even know if they could afford a fifth car, but maybe down the road.
No, not possible. No. Too much money. Sponsorships aren't there. No way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, check again in maybe 10, 15 years if anything's changed, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's the chat saying? Let's see. There was a 6-car at Roush. Don't forget the 06. Someone put, yeah, but they were more of a part-time team. It's kind of like how the 25 team is for Hendrick. They just put him in every now and then if like Brad Keselowski or Chase Elliott needs a few races to sort of get some seat time. That's always been.
Do you see Christopher Bell replacing Denny Hamlin in the next 5 years? If Suarez doesn't improve, I think he replaces Suarez. But
when's Suarez' contract up? That's the thing. I don't know what, because he's got loyal deals with Eris and whatnot. I don't know how loyal they'll still be in a year or two. But
Denny Hamlin's time it's running out. I'd agree with that. I think Christopher Bell is definitely going to be the next Gibbs driver, but I can't put a year on it. I wouldn't be able to know.
Jacob Raminger said Stewart Haas had 5 cars a couple weeks ago with Custer, and actually that wasn't a Stewart Haas car. That's actually a Rick Ware racing car, but it just had more funding from Haas is all.
They allow teams to have a 5th car for a couple select weekends as long as it's part-time. I think they've always still allowed that.
Yeah.
So it could have been, I mean, I know it wasn't, but it could have been a Stewart Haas car. I don't think it would have been breaking the rules.
Here, I'm going to check something real quick.
I don't know much about Ryan Preece. I'm sorry. That's the one driver I don't know much about because I don't watch Xfinity Series. So
Ryan Preece is pretty interesting. He's a driver who could, as long as you keep him in good equipment, he could be really good. But at the same time, I think he's content with being a short track master. It really seems like he loves the modified series and he loves racing that full time. And he's in a situation in his career. I think he'd rather just go for that and come into Bristol, win that, and then say, see you guys next time.
Have you talked to Ryan Preece? Because I'll bet if Gibbs said, hey, you want to drive the 19 car next year? I'll bet you he would jump at that. I don't know.
He probably would, but at the same time, I think he's still happy with the way his career is going right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's going well. He comes in. He's only – how many – he's got like 7 or 8 starts, I think, in the Xfinity Series over the last 2 years, and he's won 2 races. That's – good ratio.
But at the same time, he's a part-time driver making full-time merchandise checks. Because I was at the race there in Bristol. He's selling merchandise for Joe Gibbs. There's actual shirts with his name and car on there. So I mean, he's a draw for that team right now.
They had Ross Kenseth shirts for a couple of weeks, even though he ran 1 race in the Xfinity Series for Gibbs. So
if every year a short track master, then he'll do just fine because, in my opinion, I think learning the short track is the hardest part, and you could just transfer everything you learn from short tracks and the rest of whatever NASCAR wants to do. You could have a very good career.
So every year, Athlon Sports releases these magazines, and I always pick them up, like just the preseason ones, and they always have the contract, like years under contract. And for Suarez, it says 2018 plus, so I'm going to assume that means he's probably going to like have 1 more year. That's what they used to do with like Johnson or Dale Jr. back when they had a contract year. So I'd assume he's probably through 2019, even though it says 2018 plus.
It could be that. It could mean like 2018, but like the team has like an option to pick him up for 19. I don't know.
I think Denny Hamlin had that at one point. I want to see when he's scheduled through because
FedEx recently signed a big extension through like 2021 or 22 or something like that.
Yeah,
so
Hamlin's through 2020.
Okay, but I know FedEx maybe it's just with Gibbs then, or I don't know, but I know FedEx signed a pretty big extension not that long ago.
People keep talking about Trevor Bayne. I already mentioned my race review. I think Trevor Bayne's just garbage. He needs to be out of that 6. Let's just be straight blunt with it. He's terrible.
Who would they put in that 6? Because I agree. Trevor Bayne's over. He's done.
Joe Schmo from the street. I don't know. He'd probably do better.
I mean,
what gets to the point of like when I call someone garbage is when you can't stop wrecking and it's your fault. When that happens, you're garbage. Like that's the point for me. That
see, unless he can really improve, I'm almost starting to think that Austin Cindric is going that same way.
I've never been Austin.
I hate Cindric. Ever since I saw him wreck those, I hate that. That's my most hated NASCAR driver. He is a prick, man. I hate him.
I joke about Cindric all the time because I feel like every Xfinity race or last season truck race I watched with Cindric in it, he wrecked someone else or himself. The other day, I think it was Bristol. He wrecked on the white flag lap, and I joked, damn, I almost thought Cindric was going to make it through a full race this time.
Yeah. I mean, just think to Daytona. It was like lap 13, and he's like this with the wheel or something like that. Because, I mean, he's just all over the place.
Yeah, they've signed
people like that I don't even want in the sport. I hate him so much.
Roush has signed Trevor Bayne through 2019. He's been with Roush for 3 years.
Only 3? Really?
I thought he was only with Roush for like 1 or 2, but let's see.
I thought it was like 4.
Last year he was.
Yeah.
And then 16. He came in 2015 because I remember he crashed at the first Talladega race. That's how I remember if he's in the race, he crashed.
Yeah.
I actually, until this week, I forgot he was in Cup. Like, that shows how bad he is.
Do you guys think, or sorry, you can go ahead.
You know, we kind of dog on Trevor Bayne, but in a way, I almost think with him, and, you know, I don't know if many people still remember this, but, you know, when he first come in, he had all those health issues, and he actually was diagnosed with MS back a few years ago. And I'm sure, and they said then, you know, there'd be a time when his career would eventually have to probably come to an end. In a way, I almost wonder if it would do good for Trevor Bayne to try to be like Elliott Sadler and take a step down into the Xfinity Series to maybe be at a competitive level.
Well, Sadler was competitive at one point in his career.
Yeah, he was on the cover of NASCAR 07.
Yeah,
honestly, if you really think about it, that says a lot about how the people of NASCAR feel about you if they are willing to say, hey, this is the one guy that we should be marketing for this game that we want to sell.
Well, it's just we went from Jeff Gordon and Jimmie Johnson together on a cover to Elliott Sadler and in a car that he wasn't even in by that year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that always made me laugh. I was going to say something about Majeski's been getting some rides in the Xfinity Series. I saw somebody mention Ryan Reed. I don't know about that, but
I think Ryan Reed is in the same situation as I think that Trevor Bayne should be in. I think he's just going to be content in that for quite a while.
Do you guys think it's possible Roush just gets rid of that 6 team? Because they did just also announce this week that Stenhouse, his 3 main sponsors, Fastenal, Fifth Third, and Sunny D, have signed on through next year to sponsor that car. So maybe, I don't know, 6 cars days just could be numbered, which would be sad to see, to have Roush go from a 5-team powerhouse to a 1-car team. You know, that would be
honestly, I'm opposite. I say rebrand Stenhouse. I say get rid of the 17 because 17 isn't even the original 17, as I like to call it. Like they changed up the font of that one from how it used to be with Kenseth. And when they first brought in Stenhouse, he was brought in for the 6 car. I say put him back in the 6 car. I feel like he just belongs in that better.
I see Roush as like sort of this generation's Morgan McClure, that they were really competitive way back in the day, but when people say Roush and winning in the same sentence, like what do you think of? Like what era do you think of?
I think of like 2009 to 2012.
I think of 2003 through about 2007 or 8.
I'll go with that. I think from like 03 to 2012, really, or
2012. 2011 they were consistent, but 2012 they had a bit of a resurgence. But then after that,
they won championships early with Kenseth and Busch, but then they won a lot of races with Edwards and I guess still Kenseth a little bit and Biffle even, late. So,
we went from half of, granted it was only 10 teams, but half of the chase in 2005 being Roush drivers to the fact that you're surprised when a Roush driver makes the chase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sad.
I just remember being a kid and Roush being great. Now they suck. I got old.
Like I remember a time, a legitimate time when Greg Biffle was winning quite a few races a year, and now what's happened?
He disappeared into the woods in North Carolina.
Me and my friends would always talk about Greg Biffle because he'd be towards the end of his career, he'd be running like 25th. Every interview, go look every single interview. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, we had a top 5 car today. It was pretty fast."
The highlight of his career from 2011 on was that he got into a shoving match with Boris Said.
I just remember Boris Said saying he wanted to punch him in the head, or I think that's what he said.
Yeah, because he's a punk.
I
remember Sterling Marlin calling him a bug-eyed freak.
Yeah, that's where Bug-eyed Biffle came from.
Well, me and my grandpa call him Bonehead.
Bug-eyed Biffle.
We always called him Bonehead Biffle because he'd always wreck.
Dang, I didn't even realize it's like Greg Biffle actually won in all 3 of the generation of cars that they drove, and he even won in the Gen 6 in 2013. He won one race that year.
And real quick, people keep saying Biffle's going to come back. The dude's almost 50. He's not coming back.
Biffle's not coming. Who's saying that? I didn't see that. Who's saying
Biffle's going to make a comeback? It's like, no. And people keep asking.
No. He was 46 in 2016, so he's 48 now.
Yeah, it's like Biffle might come back to the race this week and sit in like seat C3B or something, but that's about it.
He's in a little bit of personal trouble. You guys can look him up on Google right now.
Yeah,
I'm not going to talk about it, but you guys can go look it up. It's hilarious.
Okay, I'll talk about it, but I'm not going to go into full detail. Long story short, he had cameras in his house. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
No more. Go have fun with that. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, because it says right here he was sued by his ex-wife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll do it.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
Yeah.
He has a great legacy. Bug-eyed Biff.
But I mean, Greg Biffle here really did have a pretty good career. His best season was 2005. He won 6 races, had 21 top 10s. But then there was like quite a few years where he had at least 2 wins a year. 2012 was probably his last really good year. He had 12 top 5s, 21 top 10s, 3 pole awards, and 2 wins in 2012. And then there was quite a long stretch. You know, you remember the time period when Dale Jr. was finishing. He was either winning or he was in second in the Daytona 500. Well, he was kind of in the same position there too. He was up there in the top 3 for quite a few years in Daytona 500 and all that. It's a wonder he didn't actually get a win during that time stretch because Matt Kenseth got 2 during that time frame too.
Do you know that's
good? I mean,
do you know last July, Mike Wallace got the shit beat out of him at a Rascal Flatts concert?
I heard something about Mike Wallace. Yeah, I don't remember.
Like, I remember he got punched before or something. I didn't realize that he actually got beat.
I also remember Tony Stewart confronting a fan at a dirt race somewhere last year. I don't think they fought, but it was like a shouting thing with like a rap battle you'd see in a high school cafeteria, people surrounding them, like fight.
I haven't heard much about Mike Wallace, but I've heard more about the downfall of Stephen Wallace's career, and he got into like a huge fight.
There was somewhere to fall from. There was a point to fall from.
True, but I mean he's freaking Rusty Wallace's son. He should have at least been probably a little bit better. But now he's just running late models because that's about his level of competition. But he's even getting to fights and getting into a lot of trouble at like a Nashville Fairground Speedway. He got into a big fight over there.
So I'll read at least the first paragraph. It says, NASCAR driver Mike Wallace is suing Live Nation and other corporate entities, claiming that they were negligent in allowing him and his daughter to be beaten ruthlessly by multiple intoxicated men after a Rascal Flatts concert in Charlotte last year, according to Charlotte himself. Oh, he got beaten at a concert like he got beat at the track ruthlessly.
I told you about the time last week where I was dying during class.
My God, he actually did. His whole face was bloody and like puffy. Oh my God, I feel like an asshole now for laughing. I might be an asshole, but I'm not a dick. Oh man, and watch Team America. There's a difference.
No, but I told you last week how that when I was in high school and I was reading that Kurt Busch article in class, and it was about Kurt Busch explaining that his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend or somebody he believed was like an assassin. He had a quote that said like she would come into their room like at 3 a.m. covered in blood. And I'm like, Kurt Busch, what What are you testifying? This is wild.
What was funny is when I first looked that up, the first article that came up was like an InfoWars article. I'm like, oh my god,
I found it from ESPN. That's why I read it, and I was like, whoa, this must tell you something. It wasn't April Fool's, as far as I can remember.
ESPN these days is CNN Sports Edition, but
I think they're telling somewhat the truth about Kurt Busch's assassin girlfriend. Or I just thought that was hilarious.
You know what would be funny is if it's actually true and it's like, yeah, of course, and she's just like, no one will believe you.
One of my friends was like, they want Stephen Wallace in the Cup Series because it'd be very entertaining. He'd suck, but it would just be very entertaining because after the race, he'd always do something.
He'd manage to crash a parked car.
He did like one Daytona 500. I think it was 2011 because it was like
yes, I remember that.
It was a Rusty Wallace Racing Toyota with the Roger Penske 77 number that Sam Hornish Jr. used to have before that season, and it was like he crashed, and 5 Hour Energy was like, okay, we need to move on from this shrub and find Clint Boyer.
So I remember that race. Especially because Mike Joy had one of his best moments ever, is that they're showing a replay of a crash and Stephen Wallace is going by and Mick Reynolds is like, and there goes Stephen Wallace past it, and Mike Joy goes, he didn't wreck. And he had to issue an apology later in the week, like, we're sorry that we pointed out that you wrecked so much, basically.
That's one thing I hate about NASCAR commentators on TV and in general. They're never mean to people when they sometimes should be.
They can't be honest.
They can't be honest. They got to be like, oh, well, like a guy will obviously just blow a corner and wreck a guy. And they'll be like, oh, well, his car wasn't handling that well. I think he might have just gotten a little loose. These cars are really tough to handle in traffic. I'm like, guys, he just wrecked a dude.
It's like, I swear, Mike, it's the vortex theory. I swear.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
Speaking of weird commentary things, I would just want to point out, I was watching the Xfinity Series race, and they were talking about Cole Custer, and Jamie Little said something about he has a best career finish of 4th, and I didn't quite catch if she meant like in his career in general, because I was like, wait, is it Bristol or his career in general? Because I was like, he won Homestead.
Probably Bristol. I don't know Cole Custer's stats.
Yeah, I'm too lazy to look him up on Racing Reference right now. So, no, I'd expect.
How old is he?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Look that up.
The way, the way he looks, he has enough acne to be in high school still.
I still think it's funny about Cole Custer winning that Homestead race. If literally he was fighting so hard with what was it Daniel Hamrick?
He's younger than me. He's younger than me. He's 20. He's 20.
Wow.
He was born January 23rd, 1998.
Oh, he's younger than me too.
So he actually probably did graduate high school last year or the year before. Damn.
Well, I still think it's funny how last year he was fighting so hard at Phoenix with Daniel Hamrick to get that last position, and I think he might have even got like bumped out of the position or something. If anything different happened, that Cole Custer made the play, made Homestead, he would have been a champion and not William Byron, and did nothing like that entire season.
Tyler Johnson, you're mean, man. That's bad.
Ouch. Tyler back there with the all caps, week in, week out, man.
Oh man. Well, last week
commenting, Swagmaster, who's my least favorite? I've seen it so many times I have to answer it. I'm sorry, dude. Least favorite Cup driver.
Didn't you already just say that earlier?
Who'd I say?
Bane or somebody? I don't know. I'm just guessing.
No, I just said Bane's
garbage. No, you were saying you hated Cindric, but he's not a Cup driver.
He's not a Cup driver. I hope he never will be.
Damn, Dark Knight.
I don't have.
We're having a full-blown roast session.
I just don't have a least favorite. I know people want me to have one. I don't.
Just be like me and don't really support Greg Galding.
I mean, I don't pay enough attention to the back markers because they're mostly irrelevant anyways.
Well, they're in the front within 30 laps.
The thing of Greg Galding is that at first it seemed like they wanted to push him to be a good driver, and he was never going to be a good driver because of how fast he was pushed.
I will say, when I was a kid and I was ignorant and I didn't know anything about racing, when Kezo and Gordon had their issue, I hated Keselowski. But I was an ignorant kid. I don't hate Keselowski anymore. I mean,
see, people assume I hate Keselowski or Logano, and for a week I hated Keselowski. For 2 weeks I hated Logano, but I actually always kind of liked Logano. Keselowski,
Denny Hamlin for like a couple hours until he apologized, and then we're good there. So
yeah, it's like Keselowski's still probably near the bottom, but I don't dislike any driver. The closest is maybe Harvick. I honestly just don't really like Harvick, but I still don't dislike him.
For me, I kind of separate the driver on the track and the driver off the track because, like, I've met most of these guys before multiple times, and they're always really cool to me. But it's like I was saying last week, like Brad Keselowski, like I don't like maybe guys like Kyle Busch or Denny Hamlin, but I like Keselowski or respect him just because I think he says what he means and means what he says. But it's like off the track, Kyle Busch looks like an awesome dude. Keselowski looks like a really nice guy. Same with Joey Logano. But it's like the way that Hamlin can be off the track. I just don't like that. The way he treats the fans, both whether it be on social media or then basically like he'll go by our campsite maybe 4 or 5 times over the weekend at Chicagoland. There'll be kids that are his fans and he'll completely blow by them. And I'm like, that's just not cool, man. So I got to say, I kind of judge the drivers off the track at least. Like drivers on track, I don't like Kyle Busch because he's so damn good and he knows it. He knows he is. He knows he's top shit of the series.
But when he gets off the track, and I see how
he's a great guy off the track.
When I see how wholesome he is with Samantha and Brexton, and honestly, Samantha and
40.
Wow! Oh, son of a. Okay, well, I'll give you guys a check. Don't worry, you guys will get a cut of this. I always mean to turn the super chat off for these live streams, but I just
what?
Someone said I roasted David Land. When did I do that? I like David.
Yeah, I missed that. I didn't quite get that.
Did I say something?
But I don't know.
Dinner money.
I saw that, and I said, but hey, Trace 29. That was very generous, Eric.
That was very nice of you. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
And just so you know, even though me and Iceberg we're not set up to where we can do super chat, we never would ask anyone to do that. If you do that, that's just gracious on you, and that says a lot about you as a person. So.
Yeah, well, thanks,
Tyler John. Yeah. Tyler Johnson, you're mean. Tyler John, jeez.
I've never say one thing about Kyle Busch because I see so many people hate him. I'm just like, if I was young and I get it, if he did something to my driver, I get it. Like, but you just gotta respect like how damn good he is. Like you gotta respect it. I think it's gonna be really interesting when Kyle Busch gets to a later point of his career, might not win as much, but then people will like him. I can't wait for that day. I'm just gonna remember it when it does happen. I'm just gonna be like, oh, I see where all you guys went now.
What sold me because like I always knew how he treated me, but I didn't know if he treated other people. But what sold me for Kyle Busch off the track as a person is after that race he won at Martinsville in 2016 when he signed that woman's hat and was bought her tickets to Bristol, I think it was. It's like, okay, he might be an asshole on the track and he might be a jerk to the media, but I mean, that's the driver, that's not the person. And Kyle Busch seems like a genuinely good person. As much as it pains me to say it, and a 10-year-old me is pissed off at myself right now, but he's a good guy. And that's like same with Keselowski. Heck, Carl Edwards, he'd go in he'd be like Shane from The Walking Dead and just going insane for like a race or two. But off the track, he was the only person other than Biffle that stopped and signed autographs for me every year that I wanted it. So
yeah,
I always keep it separate.
Thing of me is it's harder for me to dislike Kyle Busch now, mostly just because of the fact of I see him, I see Samantha, I see Brexton, I see how good they are. And I just want to go ahead and say 2038, Brexton, Busch, Leo Gordon, those are going to be some big drivers we got.
I put a lot of pressure on these infants, but all right.
Yeah, like I said stuff like Carson Elledge, but like, damn.
I mean, I'm sure like 20 years ago, people they might not have even really said much like that about people like Chase Elliott. But now that you see how they've progressed, those two, I could definitely see Brexton and Leo in the long run being drivers. And
I don't talk about Leo because I don't want to get my hopes up at all. I'm just saying this right now. So if everyone watching this and you wonder who my favorite driver will be, if Leo ever comes in, I'm hopping off the Chase Elliott bandwagon so quickly if Leo gets in the Cup Series.
What if Chase is like a 5-time champion?
And I will be the #1 biggest fan of Leo. I don't get my hopes up. I kind of hope he actually isn't in the series.
We could not even predict how an infant would be as a driver, but I definitely believe if Jeff Gordon is his dad, he will be a driver. He's already starting to race like little bitty stuff. So
I called backmarker teams irrelevant and I didn't say I didn't like him. Wait, how is that roasting David Land? I didn't even
that really kind of went like a different direction there.
I like David. I have no
Yeah,
issue.
yeah.
He's a cool guy.
To
me,
anyone.
I mean, I'm being honest. I think all backmarker teams in a lot of motorsports are irrelevant. If we're talking about winning races and stuff, it's not their fault. They have to do what they got to do run.
Did Keelan Harvick ever get his cart back? Because I think he got it like taken away during a rain delay after I remember because I saw his Delena's don't go in the puddle, and it shows Keelan, he's sitting there. As soon as she goes inside, he starts playing in the muddy puddle. She comes outside, he just jumps and just stares at her. And Harvick said after that his cart got taken away. Yeah, I have a feeling that he would be a great personality. Let's interview Keelan Harvick every week. Let's see what he has to say about this.
Keelan, if you're watching, please come on the podcast and defend yourself.
Okay,
that'd be great.
Okay, so can we just go ahead and set up a new NASCAR division just for the drivers, like children and go-karts, and we'll just start watching that now?
Wow.
Leo will be a 2-time champ. See, this is what worries me. I don't want you people putting expectations on him, right? Don't do it.
I'm just bitter because, Ross Kenseth raced, late models. He raced some ARCA races. He raced 3 ARCA races. He had 1 win, I think, in 2 or 3 ARCA starts. He made 1 Xfinity Series start with Joe Gibbs Racing, finished 6th, and then he never got another ride. So I'm over here, I got to be an Eric Jones fan now. But Ross Kenseth looked like he had some potential. Why? I'll never.
Better than Jeffrey Earnhardt.
Well, better than a lot of people, honestly.
Oh, Jeffrey Earnhardt's such a nice guy. I feel bad for him.
He seems like a nice guy, but I mean, he's kind of like Kerry, where it's he's people rip on Junior for him being there for the name, but it's at least he won. Whereas Kerry and Jeffrey, it's the name. If their name is Johnson or I don't know, Tulio or something, they're gonna be sitting in the K&N series starting parking.
When I was at 704 and we were with Jeffrey after I recorded everything, me and him just talked for 20 minutes, and it was around the time the hurricane, I think it was, I forgot the name of it, but hurricane something, it was pretty big coming to Florida. And my parents live in South Florida and stuff like that. So we were talking about that, and he was just so genuinely not I didn't ask him to talk to me for 20 minutes after we started recording. We were just sitting around what the
Christ. Trace.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, for Doubly Dud putting up with me and Danny every week, let's see if we can have a bidding war.
No. I'm not gonna condone that, but
I think I've gotten maybe $30 from super chats over the last 6 months. So, goodness, Trace, my goodness, thank you,
Trace. That's very generous. You're a great person.
I'm glad you're enjoying. Is there anything we can do for you, man? Do you want to hear us talk about anything?
You know what? Just for the fact that he's done that, I'm gonna go ahead and look up his channel just to see what his content is like.
Yeah.
Is there anything we do? It's I'll try anything once.
And Brennan, I know you keep asking. Yes, I am watching the Rockets game. Just casually.
How are they doing?
They're losing right now. It's early. It's first quarter, 16-11.
Unfortunately, Trace, I would love to look at your content, but you don't have any videos, man. I'm sorry. You have a lot of liked videos. Here's something interesting. Somebody liked meteor crashing into tilted towers right now.
Oh, is that happening right now? Is that actually happening?
Maybe there was I saw some. Even though I'm not much of a Fortnite player, I still see a lot of it. But
it's hard to escape it.
Seemed pretty interesting. They was talking about this whole conspiracy of a meteor going to crash in Fortnite for some reason.
Really quickly, you were saying about how Jeffrey Earnhardt's a nice guy. That's what I mean about separating driver from the person outside the track. Because outside the track, he does look like a nice guy. I haven't talked to him, but that's what I mean by that. So I'm not ripping on him as a person. Just I don't think driving wise he has what it takes to be up and cup at this point.
Oh, we would need a whole other podcast to talk about that Earnhardt situation. He's never had top equipment. I don't know the quality of driver he is, honestly, just because of that. And I guess he wouldn't have as much talent as other guys. But when we were there and we were talking, we were about to go out to like eat something when I was over there, all like the 704 people, and Jeffrey and his PR person had to go, but the PR person was just talking. And I won't really go into details because I think most people already know like the whole Earnhardt situation, but it's just crazy. Like when you hear it from the inside, like everything that's gone on with I think it's Teresa.
Teresa
it's
Earnhardt.
just like it hurts me. Like you can see the pain on my face. Like when I had to listen to that and I didn't know about it, when I had to listen to everything that was going on, when I think Jeffrey was recording with Joseph, who was N2SC4R, he was recording with them, and it was just me, his PR person, and some of the developers just talking about like the Earnhardt situation. It was just it was pretty sad.
Yeah,
honestly.
That is the person I hate most in the sport is Teresa Earnhardt for what she's put that whole family through that she isn't even really a part of. You know,
it's just really sad that like she married into the name and now she wants to own it.
Well, now hell, even I listen to Dale Jr. download every now and then, and they were talking about times he got in trouble the most, right? And he was saying how he did this thing, and Teresa put locks everywhere, and Mike Davis put in a little dig that I thought was really funny, and nobody caught it. But he's like, I thought Teresa just did that as decoration these days. I mean, hell, she won't even allow the Earnhardts to go on to Dale Sr.'s property anymore. The only way that Dale Jr. knows that it's being kept up with is the fact that he flies over it every now and then.
For those of you that don't know about anything, I think everyone knows it, but for those of you that don't know, the reason why Dale Jr. left Junior Motorsports and why that thing just shut down, Teresa owned 51%, Dale Jr. owned 49%. Dale Jr. wanted 50-50 to get better equipment for Junior Motorsports. Teresa didn't allow it. Dale Jr. leaves. Teresa doesn't give a crap about Junior Motorsports. Shut down. It's still open today if you want to go see empty space, but shuts down. That's the quick. That's the really quick like summary. The details are just sad when you hear it, but that's the quick summary.
I believe it was Jeff Gordon that had said that after Dale Jr. leaves DEI, it'll be a museum in 5 years. And
did I say Junior Motorsports DEI? That's what I meant.
Yeah.
And
I got
we knew what you meant.
Yeah, we knew what you meant. Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it was even 5 years. I think they had pretty much shut down the last remnant of DEI in 2009 with the 8 car, and then Ganassi basically just took over from there.
Which I covered in a video that I put up called 5 Things That Would Be Different If Dale Earnhardt Didn't Die. Honestly, if that didn't happen, I think things would be different. I think DEI would still be open.
His PR person, Jeffrey's PR person, was the first one to say that. If Dale didn't die, Jeffrey would be in a top ride. Junior would still be a DEI. DEI would be a powerhouse. That's exactly how she put it.
It'd be the way Hendrick was probably, because the way that they were building it up. I mean, Michael Waltrip even looked competent in DEI equipment.
And I mean, not that State Park was ever that good, but State Park got wins with that team.
Well, and Dale Earnhardt was like, he was sort of coaching him through his career, and I think had it not been for the injuries and Dale Earnhardt being there, I think Steve Park, while he wouldn't have been a champion by any means, I think he'd be like kind of like how McMurray has been, or how
maybe like Biffle in a way.
Someone said Teresa needs to bring DEI back to racing. To understand the point, Teresa is an evil witch. She does not care about racing. She does not care about anyone's wealth, or anyone's health, well-being. She cares about her wealth, what she owns, and she's a witch. It's that simple.
I guess even her own daughter, like Taylor, even she's like to the point of being completely sick of it with the stuff she's doing from the stuff I've seen. Like, I mean, I guess from what Kelly Earnhardt and Dale Jr. were saying is that like the siblings, they're all cool with each other and everything's fine, and they're sort of on the same page with it. So it's sad. It's like a Shakespearean story almost, just the way.
I think you're going to see a documentary on it one day. I think someone
30 for 30
do a documentary on it.
I want to see a 30 for 30 of that.
An outside the lines feature.
I feel like if things had been any different, Taylor Earnhardt could have been a potentially decent female NASCAR driver if things had just gone any different.
There could have been a lot of things different.
Can I talk about that real quick? Female NASCAR drivers. I want to, because that's been something I've been looking up on. So, a lot of people know Natalie Decker now. All right.
Yep.
Me personally, I don't think she has a lot of talent. Like, I feel bad for saying that, but she's in a championship level ride in the ARCA series with her teammates, and she can't get in the top 10. It reminds me a lot of Danica, and I just don't like what I see. There are a couple others. I don't know their exact names. I think one's like
Haley Deegan.
Haley Deegan.
I'm gonna get to Haley Deegan. I'm saving her for last. I know about her. There's like Tony something. I don't.
Oh yeah, I don't remember her last.
Tony something. I haven't seen much of her. She has, I guess, a little.
Heard of her.
You know, I don't know much of her results.
There's one girl who was like daughter of a driver, and then she married and had a name change. I can't remember what her name is. She's been in the Xfinity series some. I can't remember what it is. I
would not know, but yeah, I see people in the chat. People know. Okay, so the last couple of weeks, I've been well, there was actually a video I made about NASCAR Heat 2 update, and I saw Haley Deegan was in there, and I had no idea who she was. So that was the first time I was ever introduced to her. Get rid past that. A couple weeks ago, I hear about Haley Deegan going to ARCA racing.
Whatever.
No,
was it Tony? Was it Tony Makrovich? That's what AB68.
No, it's Tone. I follow her on Instagram. I have to get. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But they were racing. The K&N series started racing at like News. I can't pronounce the racetracks. News Marina. I don't know how to pronounce it. But that track, and then they went to where'd they go this past week? I forgot where they. Well, she finished like 7th or something this past week, and I've just been like watching her and just the personality and the talent. Haley Deegan, or is it Haley or Haley? I think it's
Haley.
It's Haley.
Haley. She has by far the most potential out of, and her personality is so awesome. Like, and Brian has, if you guys don't know, Brian Deegan was a for the people in the chat, I think you guys know Brian Deegan, but for people in the chat, Brian Deegan was very popular back in the day. I think he did some NASCAR as well, but he was very popular with the trucks and motocross and stuff like that. He would do like the X Games and stuff, and he was great. So his little bit of experience in NASCAR then transferred to Haley, and he's been teaching Haley about all the intricacies. And they have this YouTube channel, I think it's like Deegan 38, where they go through like they go through like, and it's so behind the scenes. You could just see Brian telling her like, you might want to turn in here and turn in like, and look what this person's doing. And she's just able to take it all in, and she really wants to get better. She's been performing well. She came close to winning a race her rookie year, and most rookies don't even get in the top 10. So just remember Haley Deegan. She is
great. She's got good backing too. I think Monster Energy is behind her.
Because Monster Energy is behind the entire Deegan family, and I think just what I like most about her, and she's definitely going to be one of my favorite drivers if she ever does make it. She's still very young, 17. Still got.
She's 16. So Tyler Johnson, I hope you're under 18.
Yeah, she just turned 17.
So I mean, she's not even close to really being at an age to where we should be expecting her in the truck series. Maybe by about
the short tracks.
2 or 3 years we might start seeing her.
Kevin Harvick obviously vouched for her. If you guys Kevin Harvick vouched for her definitely. Someone he would represent KHI, and just like if you guys could just go like watch Deegan 38, the people in the chat, go watch Deegan 38 YouTube channel, watch the videos with Haley in it. Her personality is just infectious. Like that's what I love the most. She genuinely loves racing and has a good time. That's why I don't like Natalie Decker as much, because you see with Natalie Decker, watch my new YouTube video, watch my merch, watch this and that, and then you don't post the results on the track. With Haley, she puts the results on the track. She doesn't promote herself that much. She doesn't have any merch yet. She just kind of goes on her business and she's learning. And Brian does. I'm a huge fan of Haley Deegan. I'm like massive. I really hope she does well.
I need to do more research on Haley Deegan because I know about Natalie Decker. I know about Haley Deegan. The only race I've seen with Decker in it was, I think, the Daytona ARCA race where she started on pole and then was basically a non-factor the rest of the way. So I don't know much about them. I got to do more research. I'll check out that YouTube channel. The first time I heard of Haley Deegan was also from NASCAR Heat 2. That's when I first looked up who she was. And
I found out about the Deckers because I live in Northern Illinois and they're from Elk River, Wisconsin. So they're about 4-hour drive from me, but they race, I mean, all over the place. So I started hearing about them from the people I work with, because there's a lot of racing fans that I work with. And, they were just telling me about them. So that's how I heard about them. And then I just sort of like, I was like, oh, that's cool, whatever. And then I heard the name from like a truck race or something. They were trying to qualify for that. And I think one of them was in an Xfinity race, and I don't think it ended out well. But so like I had heard of them before it, and then it's just sort of when that name came up, I'm like, oh damn, I remember people talking about them. So I don't know.
I knew when I mentioned Haley Deegan, people in the chat would be like, "Oh, you have a crush? Are you on date her? She's 17. I'm 21.
Yeah, she's 7. Yeah, people, come on. Like I went on this big spiel about I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago. Someone's like, "Do you think one of the?" I forgot which one it was. Like, "Do you think she's hot?" And I went on this big spiel. I was like, "I don't care how she looks." Like, and this isn't like me, judging off.
Unfortunately, for marketing purposes, it helps.
Oh yeah, but I'm like. If a woman racer looks like a horse, I don't care as long as she's a good driver. Like seriously.
The thing is, like,
look at Brad Keselowski and Greg Biffle. Do you think they made it because of their looks?
Bug-eyed Biff and horse-tooth Brad.
The thing is with this whole situation, and I feel like this is where Danica Patrick's career really started to like mess up more, is that when you start to ignore the actual talent and you try to sexualize a woman athlete, that's when it gets to be a little bit like, okay, this isn't starting to go well.
To be fair, Danica Patrick like willingly brought that on herself. That's why I have no sympathy for her, is because she'd rather be like someone for sex appeal than a driver. Like
I don't know if I go that far with her. I think she's more just she utilized it's marketing. It's totally marketing. She knows that sells.
Ask people outside of racing, because like Carl Edwards, he'd be on like Men's Fitness or whatever. Ask them whoever knew about Carl Edwards that wasn't a racing fan. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, he's pretty cool. Does backflips when he wins," and I've seen a lot of his backflips. Whereas Danica Patrick, it's like, "Oh yeah, she's that one girl that's more clothes than the other girls on the GoDaddy commercials."
Well, I think obviously that's what she's remembered for because she didn't have racing success. But I don't think it's fair to say that she just didn't care about racing and only cared about doing doing photo shoots.
Vikings fan in me has to respond to them talking about Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, if he starts like throwing out of bounds, you know where he got it from. She's a Bears fan too, so if you see her in a Packers thing, you'll know she does anything for money. Can you tell I don't like Danica Patrick much? I lost a lot of respect for her.
Or anyone else in the NFC North.
Yeah, well, I think
whenever Haley does start selling the merch, I'm buying. I'm gonna get myself a Haley t-shirt. She's awesome. Like when you guys see the videos, her personality is so awesome.
Yeah, she has a really good. Like I've watched. I don't know when it was, but it was like one of those races. She like where they had to invert the field after the first race or whatever, and she was like she made it to 4th after she dodged this accident, and it's like. Afterwards, hearing her talk, it's like that's the joy and enthusiasm we need in racing. Because I mean, I think Kevin Harvick was talking about how no one has fun, and it's true. It's been made into a boring business rather than a fun sport.
That's why I like guys like Bubba. I like his reaction after Bristol this week. Was cool.
Yeah. I just read a thing here from Boney Chuck. Put Courtney Force on a stock car, see how she does. No, don't do that.
It's completely different.
She is perfect where she's John freaking Force's daughter. Of course she's gonna be legendary in a dragster, but you would never want to see her like try to change that. You look at there have been NASCAR drivers who have tried to do NHRA and they knew they couldn't do it. Kurt Busch tried it. Richard Petty tried drag racing for 1 year. They were not good at it. You do not want to see that happen. Vice versa.
No, it's completely different forms of racing. I mean,
I will be right back in 2 minutes.
Okay. I mean, you saw how hard it was for those guys in IndyCar and F1 when that open wheel invasion in like 07, 08, 09. I mean, Dario Franchitti is arguably one of the best racers in history, especially IndyCar, and he looked like Danica Patrick did better than him. I mean, granted, she had better equipment, but I mean, I don't know. I don't like changing different people, going to different ones and stuff. You know what I'm getting at. Words are tough.
Yeah.
David Cunningham, man. You're funny, but you get come on, man, chill out.
I think
you're talking about You're talking about a 17-year-old girl.
I think
that ain't even right, DJ.
Yeah.
Come on.
Like, we're in the Me Too era. You can't say that stuff anymore.
but no. Granted, you just made a joke about that. No, I'm actually all for it. I said earlier, I don't think that our society should be in a place where we are just overly sexualizing women. I don't agree with that.
No.
I see Gavin Eats Bacon keeps leaving Jennifer Jo Cobb. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, buddy.
No. Mm-hmm.
Like,
does she even race a full schedule anymore?
I saw her at Chicagoland.
I've seen her this year, but I don't think she has a full schedule.
I'm rooting for Norm. Norm Benning, man. Norm Benning. He's got him right where he wants him. 12 laps down with 10 to go. He got him.
Someone asked an interesting thing here. Do you think NASCAR will go electric in the near future? Not with like the Cup, not with the Cup Series, but would I put it past them to try for one season just a separate lower tier electric series? Maybe I could understand that, but it had to be only on short tracks.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see them ever doing that in the Cup Series anytime soon.
Sorry, Bill Nye.
Bill Nye's here?
No, Bill Nye. In real life, not like Clint Boyer in the chat.
I'm like, is he in the chat? Is he complaining to us now?
Bill Nye. I want to say it was when I was in high school, so it was a while ago. He was saying that NASCAR needs to go to electric cars because they're causing too much damage to our environment. And it's like, meanwhile, you're flying across the world in a private jet. So
there's always hypocrisy in that statement. Yeah. NASCAR burns fuel. I don't know that the fuel NASCAR uses, from what I can tell or what I know, is not as bad as for the environment as the typical fuel you'll get at your Exxon station down the road.
It's not even as bad as the fuel was in NASCAR 10 years ago. I mean, they do, like, you can see they make different efforts. Every track is partially powered by solar power these days. I mean, not to get too into that whole argument of all that, but if you can't really rip on NASCAR too much, I think they did a study. I forgot who it was, but that actually the NFL and the MLB actually have more emissions than NASCAR do, even including the cars. Like, I found that astounding.
They got to fly. Baseball and basketball. They got to fly to a new city every 3 days.
Yeah,
and the NFL has to power so much stuff in it, and on top of all the back and forth, and now they're going to London all the time and talking about going to Mexico for different games. So yeah, and I know that Bill Nye isn't an actual scientist; he's an actor. I know that stuff. It's just he brings the headlines. So
wait, so that lab coat, you're telling me that was a prop?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Disney, you've done it again.
Childhood ruined.
Oh man.
Bill. No, we're slow. Okay.
We're closing in on about 2.5 hours here, guys. So I think it's probably a good time to start to wind this down. Final couple of quick questions. If you guys will do like a lightning round, and then we'll get ready to sign off. I think with this
yes or no questions.
Someone said who will own NASCAR next. I'll just give the name. You guys can look him up. Ben Kennedy. He'll be the CEO. So you guys want to look him up?
Yeah, he might not do too I'm sure he wants to drive and do it some more, but I'm sure he could be the next one.
He's already been groomed. It'll be him. 100% positive.
If we're gonna do like a 5-minute lightning round, just put questions that are just yes or no questions in the chat, and then we'll just go from there.
How do you feel about Clint Boyer? Yes.
No, according to Kamikaze.
Talladega install lights, of course. I've been wanting it for years.
Talladega installing lights.
Why the hell not?
Well, Aflac Cup Series come on here. That's a maybe. We could try that.
Hello, yes.
When's your next video? No. What's the next longest winning streak to be broken? No.
Will Dodge come back to NASCAR in 2020? I don't think so, but I would hope so.
Do you guys like the FIA? I don't think anyone likes the FIA.
No.
Will Jimmie Johnson win an 8th championship?
No.
Yes.
I'd like to say it, but I'm leaning towards no.
I'm saying yes.
Roval, good idea. Yes. I'll go with that. I'll take a chance.
I'm gonna say maybe. Yeah.
Should Pornhub sponsor a car?
Yes. Yes.
There it is.
And the contingency sponsor should be Extends.
If Viagra can sponsor Mark Martin, sure there's a place.
Cialis should be on the fastest car in the field.
Well, I win a championship. SJS34 asked, well, are you a driver?
I would love to hear on the radio. And Kyle Larson in the Pornhub Chevrolet next to Kyle Busch in the Brazzers Toyota. They're banging off each other in the turn 4.
Oh gosh.
They go into 2.
The maturity level just went through the roof in here.
The Pornhub Cup Series. We had a stream like this like a month ago where people just started leaving different ones like that.
I remember that.
Toyota or Toyota? Yes.
Will Nissan come to NASCAR? No. How many championships will Chase win? 8. I'm putting the pressure on him.
Well, I forget his beard back.
David Cunningham said unsubbed. I kind of doubt that, David.
Yes.
No. Oh, thank you, Taz.
Will Chase win a race this year? We've said that before. Yes.
Yes. Bristol or Martinsville, Richmond.
No.
Yes or yes? No.
Yeah. No. Just goodness. This is incredible.
Rusty Waller says, "Should I leech the chat for a post podcast live chat?" Sure. I'm kind of confused, but sure.
Toyota
Possibly.
Supra. Some people ask about the Toyota Supra in NASCAR.
I think it's just Camry's the best I got right now.
Is sliced bread good? Yes.
RealRadman to sponsor a cup car. I mean, if Lombard can sponsor an Xfinity Series car.
Hell, if
I'm a college student.
Yeah, if Trace continues to drop these huge super chats, then you will see. I'll put all of our faces on. Trevor Bain needs sponsors.
Because NASCAR have a track in the Pacific Northwest. It always rains there, so no.
It's NASCAR rig.
No.
I don't think it's rigged. Do I think there's been times when they've been able to maybe make a storyline or something convincingly? Maybe.
I mean, they make bad calls, but like, is the actual rate, like, do they know going into it, we're going to have Brad Keselowski win this race? There's no way they can control that.
No, but I do think that they manipulate the races a ton.
I don't know about a ton, but
that's what the stage racing is.
Yeah, but that's not defined. That by adding stages, you're not favoring any one driver. You're just
you don't
drama.
Have to favor. That's what I mean. You manufacture drama.
Okay.
What would be the perfect NASCAR game? Actually becoming a driver and racing in it.
Yes.
Guys,
good VR NASCAR game. Oh, can you do VR with iRacing? Can you like buy a headset?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, then never mind. Forget what I just said.
Do you like Drunk Brad? Yes.
I love Drunk Brad. I have a question here. Can you drink water in a second?
No, we're not doing that again.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
I just got a new microphone. I can't risk spilling water all over my new microphone. Not today.
More 1.5 mile tracks. I know Radman likes them. That's not even a funny joke.
Radman, to catch you up really quick, when we had like our fan stream, we were watching different videos and someone gave us a link to one where a guy drinks the water in a second and then this other guy tries to drink it and ends up splashing water all over his face. So we tried doing that and it didn't work.
No,
yeah, it's expected.
It was when the person did it, I was like, holy crap. And then when the person didn't do it, I was like, oh, this is perfect. We got to show this to everyone.
All right, so I guess you guys, I'm satisfied with what we've accomplished here tonight in the last 150 minutes.
Me too.
Yeah, I guess I'll start signing off. So thanks everyone for watching. To the handful of you guys in the super chats, Trace, you guys, thank you so much. That is incredible. But thanks to everyone for watching. Thank you for all the questions. Thanks for liking. Subscribe to all these guys. I put links. I think I put links to all 3 of y'all's channels in the description. So subscribe to them if you're not already. You should be already. If you're not, I don't know why y'all are slacking over here. But thanks, as always. Where you can find me. I'm always right here on this channel, Out of the Groove, a couple times a week typically, talk racing. And thanks for watching, guys. And I'll let these guys sign off. I'll throw it. Let's say, Danny, you go next.
Okay, so my name is Danny from Danny V Talks. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Danny V Talks. I'm also, subscribe to me on YouTube. I noticed that I did have somebody unsubscribe. I went from 847 to 846, so I hate that happened. But I also gained a lot of you along the way. I hope David Cunningham wasn't serious when he said unsubbed. But anyways, my name's Danny from Danny V Talks. I do a lot of NASCAR list videos. I've been working on something for a while. My next list video isn't going to be NASCAR related. It's actually going to be about WrestleMania 34. I decided that for the big shows of WWE, I was going to be doing one-off videos for those. I've been working on my review of that for quite a while. It's long gone already, but I still want to get it out there just for the fun of it. I'll be having a vlog come out from my attempt to watch the race at Bristol. And then, other than that, we'll see what happens. Things might slow down for a little bit with me. I may or may not be getting a new job and moving soon. So if that happens, I'll be sure to put out a video letting you all know so that you won't be surprised when my channel slows for a little bit. But it's not official yet. It just might happen. I'm just putting it out there. But other than that, I'm Danny B Talks. You can find me on YouTube, subscribe, and as always, lick the like button, guys.
Oh,
and I'll send it over to the iceberg now.
And with that, I'm the iceberg. Subscribe to me on my channel this week. I don't know if I'll get it out by the end of the week, but I'm working on a video for my ideal 2019 schedule. So you can look forward to that. To follow me other than my YouTube channel, I'm on Twitter at IceTitan80, on Gab at Iceberg. And that's actually about it for me. Really quick, I want to thank you, Radman, for coming on. It's pretty cool that you came on with us, and I'll let you do your sign out now.
All right, so RealRadman here. I don't like saying RealRadman. I just say Menard. So just I don't know why. I'm self-conscious, I guess. It's like I don't put stuff on my I don't know. My iRacing car doesn't even have my name on it because I don't like that. But whatever. I've seen a couple people say like, "What's the next video?" I have a couple of North videos that have to come out. I have to upload the Daytona race. That should be coming out Friday, hopefully. And then the North Championship race has to be uploaded basically right after that. So I'll try to get those out. Obviously Richmond race review as well. Uploads are gonna slow down. I'll be honest. Finals week is coming up, and for those of you guys that know, previously, who have been following me pretty long, when finals week does come around, I usually slow down the uploads. So that's coming down or coming around. And the other entire podcast, I was actually trying to text a girl, so that might slow down as well. And just for the uploads, I got
free pass for me.
Yeah, priorities.
I've been watching the Rockets game.
Priorities. So and that's for all you Haley Deacon peoples. So yeah, I like being on the podcast. It was I think my second podcast I've ever done. So it's pretty cool. Still new to it. Anything new on iRacing? Yeah, obviously NIS and North. That's what that's what I have to do. But yeah, if you guys aren't already subscribed to my channel, thanks Eric, and Danny and you guys and for letting me come on. And yeah, bye.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back. At least 3 of us will be back next week. I think at the same time. Whose channel are we going to be on? Danny?
It'll be on my channel. I should have plugged that. It'll be on my channel next week at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time next Wednesday, as long as nothing happens that it doesn't need to change. So come on over. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on my channel so you know to be there next week. And we'll see you over there next week.
Sweet deal. So, yep. Thanks again, Menard, for joining us. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.